validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision. Cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. Look at that Doppler effect. Man, that sure don't work well with the show. All right. So we're live 7 nights a week, and we tell you guys to follow along. He said, hold on. Just crossed the graduation stage. Congratulations, Stevens. And got all kinds of shout outs from the president of the college and other recognition. It was incredible. Fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. It is graduation. This is the end of the term. So Friday today marks the last day that most people is going to school for this semester, which means that summer break starts tomorrow. That's fantastic. That's phenomenal. And you just walked out with your associate's degree. So that means that you're getting yours. You're on your way up to that bachelor's degree situation. That's fantastic. So that means you should have been enrolling into fall term now and applying for those grants and scholarships right now so that you're ready for it. And go to orientation and everything like that. And I think orientation is going to start in June, but you might find one in July and get in there because you know how it is with picking classes. Um, We're live 7 nights a week. We do not let the sun rise without going live, but we don't always start on time. We're about an hour late today. And that's why we ask you guys to like, subscribe, hit the notification buttons, and match those reaction buttons, and then go check out the membership. Um, they're still working on the negotiations, but as we start giving you guys cliff notes on a $250 bill, we got something we're going to be talking about on um, Monday as it relates to how that's going to impact the economy. Uh, Steve says full scholarship and already enrolled in class at the new college. Yeah, full scholarship doesn't change nothing because full scholarships pays for everything that you need. Then you can tap into everything else, all the other financial assistance, subsidized loans, unsubsidized loans. Look at the interest rates on those bad boys and pull that money out anyway. Because even if you don't need it, because the old school mentality has always been don't use what you don't need in college because you don't want to owe a big bill after you graduate from college. But as I've been showing you, that opportunity cost, have your money make more money for you. If you got a full ride scholarship, you still qualify for student loans. If you were to look at those interest rates and look at your brokerage account and look at the return on investment from your brokerage account versus the interest owed on the student loans, if your brokerage account is putting out more, far more than what your student loans asks of you, like student loans should be somewhere between 4 and 7% with the government funded loans. The private loans might be a little bit higher, but the government funded loans that are coming directly from the school are going to be the ones that are going to be more affordable for you, which means that you're likely to be able to get your hands on some 4% or 7% student loans. The brokerage account that you got out of the membership produces about 15%. So that's double. Even after you take 3% out for taxation, you know, you're still profiting like 4 or 5% on your investment, on their investment in you, because they're going to front you the money and defer payments until you graduate from your bachelor's degree. The 6 months after you stop going to school, that's when your first payment is due. So, if you're doing two classes or more, which is 6 credits or more, 2 3 credit classes or more, they're going to defer your student loans. But your student loans are going to be dependent upon whether or not you're full time or part time. Doesn't matter. Whatever they give you, and you take that, you put that into your brokerage account, you capitalize it, and then you push off those payments. Right now, what will happen is you're probably going to be in your 4 year for at least another 4 years because you just did what 2 to 3 years for your associates. You're going to have 150% time left. So even if you have 2 years left for your bachelor's, it's still going to be at least 3 years to get, if not 4 years, to get your bachelor's. Because what they don't tell you is that there are prerequisites and then electives that you have to get in addition to your core classes. Your core classes is a set track plus all the extra stuff that you have to have. Now, one of the recommendations I give to students on a regular basis is that you should do 2 lectures that are hard, especially if you got sciences involved, 2 lecture, 2 lab, and then everything else has got to be easy classes. Okay, so that's going to mean that you're going to be working a lot of electives, communication classes, ethics, philosophy, all of those other classes that are not going to be as stressful as your chemistry, biology, and physics class, right? And then you're going to have a math class in there somewhere. So the lectures are going to be hard. So like two hard lectures, maybe the math class, 2 labs that are going to be super easy, and then one extra class that's going to be super easy. You should have about 6 classes, maybe 7. That's it, and that's going to be about 12 to 15 credits a semester. And you keep doing that till you get your and anything over 12 is a full time student, and you're getting full student aid from the school. Now you don't have to do this. I'm just saying if you were to, because even with all the changes in the laws that they made, they're capping students off at 200 grand, but they're allowing you guaranteed, as long as your grades are up and you're going to school, that is the only criteria that they have for you. It's not you got to have a good credit score or anything to that effect. You just got to be a college student and you've got to have good grades. That's it. And you can get those loans. So if I were you, I would get them fuckers and put them into a brokerage account, let it fester. You're already doing buy and holds. Let it fester. Then when you graduate, when they start recalculating how much you owe, that's when you start taking payments out of your brokerage account, putting it directly on your student loans, and now your education was free. And you get to keep the principal. And when you do your taxes, when you claim the money that you're getting on your brokerage account, you also claim the money that you're paying on your student loans, and whatever tax deductions they give you for paying off your student loans will offset profits from your brokerage account, which means that you're not going to be getting taxed as much on your brokerage account. So it's a win-win for you if you do it that way, since you're just not getting in there. He said the platform is not accepting chat for some reason. Now the platform is accepting all kinds of chat. So here's the thing, bud. You came in on the the 16 by 9 platform. YouTube has this thing where they've integrated, but it's not always working. They've integrated the comment section. Steven came in on the For You page for the 9 by 16 from the Shorts Reel. So you're talking, and that's another reason why I put everybody's comment on the screen as I get to them. So don't think I'm going to ignore you, Andy. I got you up here. What happens is that you put a comment in the comment section, and then it pops up on my screen. He puts a comment in a different comment section because it's streaming live on two different sections of YouTube, so it's going to come up on a For You page. Then I got to put y'all's comments up there because y'all can't see each other's comments. I got to put the comments up there so y'all can see what everybody else is saying, and then we can continue the conversation. But no, it's up there because when you came in at the beginning of the show and you gave your shout outs at the top of the show, it was up there on the screen. It was up there on the screen when the show went live. And then like 10 minutes ago, you're like, damn it. And I was like, I know. Yeah, the chat is definitely working, but when I get to your comment section, when I get to your comment in the comment section and address it, I get it. But I don't move on to the next comment until I finish what I was talking about related to the last comment so that people don't get lost because I ramble sometimes about things that are important. Steven said he's starting in the fall. Yeah, I expect you to start in the fall. You better start in the fall because I'm gonna take a semester off. You too old at 36 years old to take a semester off. Taking a semester off is like permanent retirement. You said, "Oh, bro, you can just put the link in the membership. You can just put the graduation live stream in the thing because if you've got it like recorded from when you guys went live and you put it into the thing, then I can click the link. But let me see what I can do for you because you said you want to send it directly to me. We got an email at the bottom of the show on the main platform. Hold on, where is that? Let me grab it. I know you didn't see it, but it's up there. Hold on, y'all, because we're gonna get into today's topic in just a second. Um, hold on, I bet the best way for me to go and grab the email is to go to the other thing over here. Yeah, here it is. So and gotta go to the media kit and then grab it. Cause it's a long behind email. It's one of them ones that it's a long behind email. All right. Hold on. I got it right here. There you go, Steven. So that's the email right there for you, Steven. If you want to take it down and then send us an email, and then I'll take a look at the graduation. He said YouTube keeps saying chat unavailable. Oh, I don't have nothing to do with that. I saw you put a lot of lives on the schedule for real, bro. I have been building the foundation of what's going to happen for the next 3 months. I've got about 60 of them I'm trying to put up there over the. Actually, I got about 100 of them I'm trying to get scheduled over the next 10 days. And I keep slacking off on it because there's so much to do that I'm just like, I'll do some of it later. But some of the more important ones that are coming up right now, I had to get those together. So the I changed Tuesday's topic So, Stephen, you got to hit the notification button for Tuesday's show because I changed Tuesday's topic because we were talking about gold and silver this past week, and I want to talk about the importance of that. Then I posted Monday's show. Um, I just realized that Wednesday's show is not up there, so I got to get the next ten weeks worth of Wednesday shows put up there and the scripts that are related to them, and then my Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays for those particular days. So for the remainder of the night after the show, I'm going to be really trying to push out like 20 or 30 more shows plus scripts in order to make sure that I have all of my information curated for every show and then have all of the shows listed so that you guys can see what's going on and be able to follow along. So there's a lot of work that I've been doing. But yeah, everything is working the way it's supposed to work. And speaking of, uh, because we're live 7 nights a week, we have a different topic every night of the week. Sundays, we talk about questions and comments from the fans. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays about business and politics, where on Mondays, we talk about how politics negatively impacts your ability to make, save, and invest money. Tuesdays, we talk about different ways to make money, save money, invest money, budget money, different strategies to protect your money, different ways to think about how you make decisions in your life so that you don't waste your money. Then on Wednesdays, we talk about different countries around the world to invest your money and potentially live and make more money overseas. And then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, today being Friday, we talk about personal development, personal improvement, socialization, relationship topics, networking, building your brand. And then we talk about raises, promotions, uh, retirement, severance packages when you get fired, and then we start giving you guys all the rest of the information and reasons as to why you should be building your 20 and 30-year plan because the importance of your ability to facilitate your own personal stopping point, your own personal retirement is fundamentally important because while you're young and you got it like that, as far as the physical and mental capabilities to get out there and get things done, it is highly important for you to prepare yourself for the days when you can't or don't want to do it anymore. You've got jobs that you started working on when you was young and you love that job just because you had a job. You got jobs when you was middle aged that you love that job because it showed you respect. But you done been on that job long enough where you just don't like certain people. You don't like certain aspects of what you're trying to do. You don't like, oh, that's the thing. There it is. That's I know you're sitting over here wondering, where's the comment section? There it is, y'all. I forgot to turn that on. um, highly interactive podcast. So make sure that y'all like and subscribe and make sure that y'all throw y'all comments into the comment section. But I know that y'all work on a job and y'all be like certain operations that y'all just don't like. There's certain situations that y'all just really don't mesh well with, right? But because you've been there so long, you can't imagine yourself doing anything else anywhere else to make money. But if you build the kind of life where your money is being made without you having to go to work, even if you maintain a stable job, you find yourself in a position where you are now working by choice, not by obligation. When you're working by obligation, you have unresolved resentment for your employer. You have unresolved resentment because you didn't get the raise that you wanted, you didn't get the promotion that you thought you deserved. You can't move up in the company anymore. It doesn't matter why. It doesn't matter if it's something that you did in your work history. It doesn't matter if it's something in your personal life, background checks that you failed, drug tests that you failed, whatever the case may be. What matters is that right now you want to progress and you can't. And as a result, or it's not that you can't, it's just that they won't let you progress, right? So in that dynamic, you have two choices. You stay where you are because it's a stable income. As long as you show up, you always get paid, or you go try to find something new, which starts volatility in your personal life, right? Because now you got to start over. You have to quit this job, find a new one. It's harder to find a new job now than what it used to be. Then you got to start over where you might have to start over at a lower pay base intro level position because it's easier to qualify for an intro level position than it is to qualify for a middle management position. Then when you get in there, then you got to work your way back up to your previous salary and then work your way past your previous salary to the salary that you were hoping to get. All of that is stressful. So when I teach you guys on the show, in order for you to make, save, and invest money, in order for you to put your money in places where your money is making money for you, you will be able to um, see and navigate other ways to have income coming in. Whether you start up your own thing online where your money is being generated off a computer and you got a second or third side hustle, or if you are reinvesting your money in places where your money is making money for you, you don't have to do nothing but reinvest your money whenever you go back and check your stocks. The dynamic is that you want to make sure that you have an alternative. So if you put enough money away in enough things, like when I was telling Steven at the top of the show, is if you first, all right, man, I appreciate that. I'm going to take a look at that after the show. If you first set it up where your future is going to be successful, then you're capable of, when your future gets here, having better success. So when I was telling him, hey, you got a full ride, that means all your books, all your classes, all your labs, all your extra, everything is covered, right? By the stuff that you're getting from the school, which is fantastic, but you still qualify for student loans. So that means you don't need that money. Now, what the average broke-minded individual would think, if I don't need the student loans, I'm not going to take out student loans. Opportunity cost. Fuck them student loans. Take out 100% of whatever they will give you and put it into the brokerage account and adjust the brokerage account, because I gave you, we got like 3 or 4 of them that are running at 20% return on investment right now for the real estate investment trust and the BDCs. And then the rest of them are anywhere between 3% and 15%. And a lot of those are pre-tax, where they're not going to be taxed. You're not going to get taxed on them because the companies pay taxes on it before they gave you the shares. And the rest of the 17 stocks that I gave you for the high octane dividend generating growth stock portfolio that I put into the membership, you could put the majority of your money into the real estate investment trust and then rebalance it into the others. And that way you have the 15 to 18% return on investment on average. But the benefit is that if the school is going to be giving you 4.7% interest, 6.5% interest, 7.1% interest on investment, and you're getting 15 or 16 or 17, even after you pay 3% on 3% of your profits on taxation, you're still making double what the school is asking you to pay back, which gives you the capabilities to do 2 things. They're going to defer payment. So it doesn't matter if interest is going to occur on this until you get out of college. What matters is that they're going to defer payment until 6 months after you get out of college. So you can keep reinvesting this money back into the portfolio until you get out of college. 3 years of 20% interest, or not 20%. Let's say on average about, let's say after taxes about 12%, right? 12 or 13%. Let's say 13% after taxes, right? So 13% a year after taxes. And typically the schools should give you about $5,000 or $10,000 worth of money every semester, which means you should be getting closer to $30,000 a year. And you're putting away that over the course of 3 years, your undergrad should be upward of 90 grand. Somewhere between 60 and 90 grand, right? Now, if that 60 or 90 grand is getting more than 10% interest for 3 years, you would have made about 20 grand of profit on it at the very least, right? Doesn't matter what they're asking for, because you're making back twice as much as what you owe. Then when it's time to start making payments, you can start making the payments, whatever the fuck they ask for, take it out of your brokerage account, give it to them, because you're still putting money away on top of your student loan money. But every 3 months, because if you're going to be a full-time student year round, they're going to give you loan options every semester. So right now, if you request for financial aid, you're going to get loans for the fall term. Then in October, you're going to be doing it again for the spring term. Then in February or March, you're going to be doing it again for the summer term. And you're going to do that 3 times a year for 3 years. Then when you graduate, you would have had like 60, 70 grand worth of student debt that would have gotten you like 20, 25 grand worth of profit. Then you start sending the money back to them. Special shout out to Jolin. Greetings. uh, then you start sending the money back to the school. And when you start sending the money back to the school, at that point, you done already made more money back than what you started with. So by the time, so now you're making payments to the school and you splitting your money. You're gonna give them some and put some money in your pocket. He says these. See, you just still messing with your numbers, bro. It is messing with the numbers hard, because as it stands right now, there is 700 people rolling in here at a time, and the numbers are getting so jacked up to the magnitude that my man up here a moment ago, Unc Andy 47 couldn't even access the comment section for a minute, because it kept saying comment section is unavailable. Then they're turning around from time to time, not notifying people that we're actually live when it says live all over the top of my damn screen. right? Steven told me once before that the go live or the show live thing wasn't showing on us. No, I was telling Jolin how like YouTube is technical support is really fucking up during the live stream, so I can't even I can't fix nothing. I just got to navigate around it because we live. I can't just backtrack and edit that out and throw it back in there. He said, "Yeah, I see plenty of people talking, but it says one or two people are viewing." I know. And then every now and again, we got the average troller that'll come in and say, "Oh, what bots you got going on because you got it says one person up here." Well, what happens is YouTube has not fixed this feature yet. When you come on the show, it counts you. When you get an ad, it takes you off the show. If you come back, it doesn't count you a second time because it's already counted you once before. But because you left because of a commercial break, it doesn't include you anymore. So I can have 10,000 people here, and if each one of them got an ad, 10,000 people saw an ad, but it shows that ain't nobody here that hasn't seen an ad. He said, I know I looked for you after 11. I be here though, bro. I be here. And meanwhile, there's thousands of people supposedly viewing somebody that is running around with a toilet seat on their head. Oh, oh, that's dirty. Well, you know what's funny about that, Joel? I'm here talking about ways for you to make, save, and invest money. I'm here not just trying to give you like, oh, I'm gonna make you the best person, buy my product. No, I'm telling you, hey, you can fix your life by taking common knowledge information that most people don't know about and utilizing it. Nobody wants that. The largest majority of my channel is men, middle-aged men that actually are tired of the way things used to be, whatever's going on in their life that used to suck, that they did not have a solution for. And I've been putting up solutions every day for the shit that they've been going through. And they're like, damn, I didn't think of that. And they're applying some of these solutions to their day to day operations and they're improving themselves. So out of 89, well, what is it, what, 80, 81,000 people I got on the show, that about 60% of them are men. So we're talking about upward of about 50, 55,000 men on this channel that are middle aged men over the age of 30 that are here because they want to be here to learn different ways to improve themselves. They want to learn different ways to save and invest money. They want to learn different ways to have a stress free life. More than half of social media is women. 170,000 Americans, that's not an even number. The majority of them, 51 or 55% of them, is going to be female. And the women are not going to be on this channel when this channel tells you how to fix your fuck up because women do not want men to tell women that women are fucking up. Men don't give a shit. If you tell me that I'm fucking up, let me stop fucking up because if you know a better way for me to get this shit done, please tell me because this shit has not been fun for the last 15 years. So for dudes, a dude would be like, yeah, he got a point. This money right here, just like when I was talking about the thing with the student loan thing, I just gave you a clue. You're getting in with a guaranteed loan opportunity. They're not going to deny you because you're a college student. So that means that you can go to your directly to your school and borrow the money directly from your financial aid department. They're going to guarantee you the student loans. They're going to give you the limits that they're going to allow you to have and then they're automatically going to send you that money with your refund, which means you're guaranteed to get that money every semester if you apply for it the semester before. That's as a college student, that's a guaranteed in. I've already covered that on the show 9 months ago, how you can profit from borrowing money instead of using money as a pay everything off situation. You use money to leverage for profit. You're borrowing somebody else's money to get thousands of dollars so that you can use that money to invest in something else that's going to pay you even more than what the first person is asking you to pay back. So with the portfolio that I put together and put in a membership, you're getting like 15% return. Schools is asking for 7, and they're not even going to tell you to start making payments on it until 6 months after you graduate. Dude just finished his associates today, which means he's starting the fall term of his 4 year in August, which means he's going to be in college for 3 more years, at least 3 more years, if not 4 more years. He's got a guaranteed 3 to 4 more years of taking money from the school at $10,000 at the very least, because they're going to give you around $3,000 to $5,000 a semester. Well, no, actually, they're going to give you closer to $10,000 a semester. But at the very least, they're going to give you $3,000 to $5,000 a semester if you got a full ride, right? So assuming that they're going to fluctuate some of the loan options because of Donald Trump and the cap, they might dim it down a little bit, but they might not because they're supposed to cover room and board and everything to that effect with your college education. That's what they factor in with your college education bill is where do you live and all this other shit. So when you take into account that they may do like $3,000 to $5,000 of subsidized and then another $3,000 to $5,000 of unsubsidized every semester, you're looking at upward of close to $10,000 worth of subsidized and unsubsidized in combination student loans plus whatever grant money that you didn't spend, scholarship money that you didn't spend, because all of that gets given back to you, right? So that means that you're likely going to be pocketing in a refund from your school $10,000 a semester, $20,000 for the fall and the spring, and if you do the summer, another $10,000. That's $30,000 a year. And if you compound that over the course of 4 years, is $120,000. Donald Trump said you're capped at $200,000. So that 120 grand over the course of 4 years, you would be making a shit ton of money because if you're getting 15% interest off of that, you're getting $15,000 off of every $100,000 that you put into the brokerage account, right? And the school is going to start asking you for like a $500 a month payout 6 months after you graduate. Your brokerage account should be by that time, if you're getting paid 15, 17, $18,000, $20,000, you should be making $500 or $700 a month coming back on your brokerage account, which means that you're 100% of the money on your brokerage account can pay for your student loan money, which also means that when you file your taxes, that's a 100% tax write-off. People don't talk about this. They're not going to talk about that in college. They're not going to talk about that in your freshman year of community college. They're not going to talk about that senior year in high school. But that is, I'm telling the man, before you set foot on your campus, take out as much money as you can and throw it into a brokerage account because you don't need it. You don't need it. Nobody thinks about these things. If I would have knew that when I was getting the $70,000 worth of money from my college, I would still have that $70,000 sitting in a brokerage account, making money, make money for me. Shit. Jolin said, "Yeah, I've been saving cash. Uh, less wants, more needs." That's what I'm trying to tell you. There are so many nonsense channels out there. You are a breath of fresh air, intellectual conversation, critical thoughts, and finance. Bro, it is so hard to be a breath of fresh air. If I would have been a hot chick with some cleavage, we would be viral right now. But unfortunately, nobody wants to see a well dressed man in a suit talking about how to stop having to struggle with money outside of the people who are tired of struggling with money. So while I am a breath of fresh air, I am a gem, the diamond in the rough. I am the one of the most undervalued podcasts on social media, period, to the magnitude that it is hard for people to find me because of all of the guidelines with YouTube and everything with the restrictions and shit like that. That I end up in the restricted only section. So you got to turn off the restricted only section to find me. And then then sometimes I come back and start becoming public again. I don't know. It is what it is. But the value is that if you find me, if you like and subscribe, you find me, you will see me up there talking to you guys about every day about ways to make yourselves not have to struggle no more. You see, I missed the boat on that idea. But that's what I'm trying to tell you. I missed the boat on that idea too. And that's why every time somebody talks to me about college, I will take 10 minutes out of my show and I will tell them exactly about that because you're not going to if you're going to college now, the no matter how far along you are, if you start doing it now, you can start making you some profits. You can start making some profits because that's guaranteed money. Matter of fact, get you some student credit cards too. Guaranteed money. Some people are going to say, oh, don't stack up a bunch of credit cards. Fuck that shit. It is a guaranteed approval. Every hit on your credit score is a guaranteed yes. People who are not in college have to ask for money and hope for the best. People who are not in college have to ask for a line of credit and hope for the best. Because you are a college student, they're not going to give you a $25,000 American Express card, but they'll definitely give you a $300 to $500 student Visa card, which will give you guaranteed lines of credit. If you're trying to build your credit as a middle-aged man in college, that is the best way to do it. Borrow against the stone with your student loans, which are not going to be held against you for other shit. Get you lines of credit that are not going to give a shit about anything other than you got a job and you're going to school and you got good grades. They're going to give you a credit card. Even if it's $300 or $500 from each one of the companies that gives you a student credit card, get that student credit card. Because if you can get 5 or 10 student credit cards from 5 or 10 different financial institutions, you now got almost $10,000 worth of, or $5,000 worth of credit cards from having 10 $500 credit cards. And then if you already got three to five thousand dollars worth of credit, you just doubled your credit limit, which reduces your credit utilization. You don't have to use those cards, but it will benefit your credit score. And if you keep them for the remainder of your education, because as a student, those lines of credit are going to be no fees. They're not going to have annual membership fees. They're not going to have usage charges. It's just don't fuck it up and hold on to them. And it will boost your credit score. Any secure credit card that you have acquired, any credit builder credit card that you have acquired that puts you in a position where after you cross over a certain credit score, they will give you your money back or increase your line of credit. When you start doubling down on your credit cards because you're a college student, you will put yourself in a position where you can get to that 720 credit score real quick from 645. And then all you got to do is just keep it low, right? And that keeps you in a fantastic position, right? All of that to say, that wasn't what today's show was about. Today was about not paying on the first date, but the magnitude about the fact that this show is so beneficial to the people who want it, to the people who need it. But like Stephen, I mean, like Joel was saying, that if everybody watching your boy run around with a toilet seat on his head, uh, and that's what's going viral right now because the average American wants entertainment. They want to laugh at somebody making an ass of themselves. They want to um you know, be aroused by the girls that are posing and dancing and some of the other countries that have the women topless and all this other stuff. They want to be driven by the conflict that's on the which is one of the reasons why the gender wars, the red pill, blue pill, black pill podcast are always viral because it's triggering. Women are triggered by the things that men say. Men are triggered by the things that women say, and it keeps the algorithms flowing. So those things go viral. But hey, how do you not fuck your life up or how do you stop fucking up your life? That show doesn't get as much traffic as everybody else's show. And that's one of the reasons why when I said Joe Biden back in the day was misguided by banning TikTok because he believed that TikTok's content was corrupting the American people because in Asia, their content is more educational. In America, our users are not looking for educational content. That's the whole reason why the Spurs won, by the way. Man, special shout out to the Spurs. I had the scores on my phone and I had turned them off before the podcast came on because it kept pinging on the phone. I actually have a lot of the sports teams giving me updates every day, and I have to turn them off because they keep bing, bing, bing every time somebody makes a point. So special shout out to the Spurs. But yeah, it's a wild situation to see that Americans we look for chaos, we look for desire, we look for self devaluing and self degrading themselves, and then we call ourselves, oh yeah, we're smart. Yeah, but when's the last time that you looked up something smart? Hold on, let me change this mic out for some reason. Hold on.
So I should have the sound now. Let me know if you can hear me. You said it locked up. He said it locked up. Yeah, I had to get it to work the way I wanted it to work, man. This situation, this is why I'm trying to tell you that YouTube is getting on my damn nerves sometimes. But no worries. Backup plan. So hold on, let me see if I can adjust the volume on this. Oh wait, hold on, let me go to the other guy. There we go. Edit mic. There we go. Oh, let me turn this down and then turn the mic up. Right. There we go. All right, so reduce mic's background noise and then mute myself. Oh yeah, I'm trying to get it, buddy. I'm trying to get it. There's gonna be some feedback in the mic. I don't really know. I had to get all kind of stuff done. So I had to put my phone on so that I could get the show to show me that the sound was working, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Let me plug both of these things in because they was not charging like I thought they was charging. I think one of them was dead and the other one was connected to something around here. I had bought both of these headphones off of Temu for $22 a piece, and they were working for a good 6 to 9 months. But I mean, nowadays it's like, man, I got to keep these bad boys on the charger. But I had made a mistake where, hold on a second. Yeah, I know my microphone was unplugged. We ain't worried about that. I turned that off. That I was working on trying to make sure that the other things I was doing for the day were being taken care of. And then I found out, I was like, oh, snap. Like, I forgot to plug in my headset. So I know that one died. So then I had the backup one, and the backup one ain't charging right. So I was like, all right. You said it sounds cool. I really appreciate it because I was sitting over here listening in the background trying to see, like, did the sound work? Did the sound work? I got an S23 Ultra. The microphone is over here off to the side. So now I got better sound. There's always a backup plan. Where there's a will, there's a way. Now, what we were supposed to be talking about today, after we were talking about all of that other stuff, Unc said, I had just found you as a happy accident. Hey, I like being the happy accident. But today, what we were supposed to be talking about, the first dates. Yes, that's right. Not paying for the first date and why it is important not to do this, right? That's what we're supposed to be talking about today. So I know that you guys have heard, and that today might be another 3-hour show. Because I got as much information today as I had yesterday, and we spent the first hour talking about something that wasn't that, not paying, right? So I know that you guys have heard that advice, right? It may have been whispered between you and a couple friends, or shouted from some controversial online website, somebody's YouTube podcast. Y'all heard me talking about how you didn't have to do it because of the financial aspects of fintech that allows for you to cover the bill away from the table. He said, no cuckoo. Well, no, that's not the thing. So here we're about to get into that, because that's what that's going to be the controversial aspect of it, is because as soon as somebody says that you should not have to pay for the first date, that's when the females are going to throw up and say, oh, well, you don't get none of the nookie, we don't get the clap cheeks because we didn't pay for the bill. But that is a transactional scenario where society started with men back in the late 80s, early 90s that tied, because we used to have charisma. We used to have one-liners. We used to have what was called charisma back in the day. And now they're calling it rizzing. the thing is that back in the day, we used to be able to be witty. We used to be able to be charming. We used to be able to perform actions without having to utilize capital gains in order to win over the woman by intriguing her intellect, by wowing her with our personality and our characteristics. Sometime after It Ain't Tricking If You Got It, Can You Pay My Bills, and I Don't Want No Scrubs, sometime after that little genre, women started transactionalizing interactions with men. Men started spending extra money just to sleep with the girl. It's like, I don't need game if I can pay enough money for her to say yes. Then women who are financially challenged, which is, it's a bad scenario because it primarily is the minority women that who are financially challenged, will come up and say, well, I need money to subsidize my standard of living. So if I'm gonna be sleeping with these dudes anyway, I should at least get paid for it. And that's the rumor that's going down, being passed down from generation to generation. Don't just give it away, girl, sell it. You know, don't just, they don't actually just promote the whole selling it aspect of it, but that's basically what they're saying. They're saying, you know, don't just give it to them. You make them earn it by buying you things and paying for stuff for you and this, that, and the third. If he doesn't spend enough money on you, then you don't sleep with him. But the intimacy between the two people is supposed to be based off of the physical attraction between the two people and the admiration and basically the emotional attachment between the two people. It is not supposed to be, oh, because you bought me X number of dollars worth of stuff, now I got to sleep with you. That actually became a problem. And we're going to be talking about that later on in the show, because then women, the chivalry got killed because society transactionalized what used to be the generosity of men, which was mutual respect for women that they did not have to date. So holding doors open, offering to pick up the heavy TV, pushing their car out of the road, umbrellas, standing between women in traffic, getting wet, stopping the woman's purse from being snatched by a robber, and all the stuff that men would put themselves on the line for a woman just because she was a woman, that was a societal expectation for men, is now stigmatized, because if a guy opens a door for a woman, that's because he wants to look up her skirt. If a guy is offering to do something for a woman, that's because he wants to get laid. If a guy tries to help her out in any way, that's because he wants to get laid. So women will turn down the chivalry from a man because she doesn't want to have to reciprocate with sex. But women are not taught by other women or anyone else in the society of their value outside of sex, that they can contribute in reciprocation for somebody lifting something that's too heavy for them to lift, right? So he said capital gains game versus just game. Exactly. So it's become a capital gains game, and that's why for the last 30 or 40 years, men have been, well, actually not the last 30 or 40 years, because when I was under the age of 20, I didn't have to pay for shit. Actually, I think up until about 27, I didn't have to pay for anything. You know, I would pay for myself. I would show up. But then after I got into college, that's when I wasn't being smart. And that's when I was able to take people out on a collective, because I had it like that, right? It's a dumb move. But I had 13 people in my entourage, and I was the only dude in the group. And I would go places, but they were only going because I was paying, right? So people think, oh, he's a pimp because he's got 13 hot chicks walking with him. No, these 13 bitches is hungry, and all of them ride with me in an SUV. And now I got to protect all 13 of them and shit, dying like a fucking grown-ass babysitter with a bunch of grown-ass women and shit. No, it wasn't fun at all. I mean, it looked good from the outside looking in, but it was tedious. Each one of them had independent needs that had absolutely nothing to do with the fact that I was spending money to make sure that they ass wasn't hungry, right? So it's not a smart thing, but men don't pay attention to that till they're in their middle ages, right? So that's why I tell you guys, like the stigma behind it is sex for money, sex for gifts, sex for entertainment. So a guy takes her out and spends enough money on her. And it's not like the complicated design of the structure of the date is what earns the intimacy. It is the dollar value of the date. So now I don't have to be creative. I just have to save up enough money to be impressive, right? So she's impressed by my money, my assets, my resources, not my character or my personality, right? I can stay with him if he continues to pay for this, right? But if I can no longer afford to pay for that, she's out the door because I wasn't what she wanted. I just had the lifestyle that she didn't want to have to pay for. So we got to pay attention to these things, right? So let's be honest. Your first reaction is probably going to cringe a little bit when we start talking about this. You know, you might have dismissed it as a cheap, outdated, or just plain insulting narrative. It sounds like a rule designed to save a few bucks at the expense of kindness and good manners, and in some situations, transactionalized as you too broke to pay for the sex that you're going to get from the girl if you take her out on a date. But what if the people who truly get this rule aren't trying to save money at all? What if they are using it as one of the most powerful filters in the modern dating world? Okay, a strategy to set a sidestep of awkwardness, to avoid transactional relationships, and to find a real lasting connection. This isn't about being cheap. It's about being valued for who you are, not for what you can buy. It's about setting a standard from the very first hello that your connection will be built on chemistry and conversation, not a financial transaction. Okay? Now, today, finally, we're going to tear down the controversial phrase and rebuild it from the ground up. I'm going to show you guys how it really means to, and what it really means to understand the psychology of why this works. And then we're going to give you the exact words to suggest incredible, fun, and impressive, free, or in some situations, low-cost dates that will make someone more attracted to you, not less attractive. So I want you guys to stick around. Make sure you like and subscribe as we go through this. Mash those reaction buttons as you resonate with the information, because this is the conversation about dating and money that you've been needing to hear for an excessively long time. He said, here's a rebuilt phrase. I don't do no tricking and I got it. I don't do no tricking and I got it. Well, from the mindset of the wealthy, the dynamic is this, is that the I can't afford it phrase comes from not that I don't have enough money to afford it, but I do not have any money available to invest in that because that brings no financial value to me, right? But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about how to change the dynamic so that people find more value in you as well as you find value in them, because that's one of the things that the good men struggle with, because in society, the bad women's behavior is justified by bad women coining situations with bad men. But the good men who are looking for good women are overlooked and overruled by the bad women who believe that because they have been mistreated by bad men, that the good men should be mistreated by bad women because the bad men did the good women something that led the good women to become bad, I guess. I don't know. But the dynamic is that if from the perspective of the woman has a good man, the observation is that she will get everything that she wants from him within reason. And the problem is that in a negotiation, it is only fair if both parties get everything they're looking for, or they reasonably get what they wanted out of the deal, or at worst, they both reasonably are disappointed at not getting enough or having to give up too much of what they didn't want to give up, but they still got what they were expecting to get. Both parties are supposed to be equally satisfied or equally dissatisfied with the arrangement in order for it to be a fair and balanced arrangement. If only one person is benefiting from the arrangement, then it is not beneficial for both sides, meaning that it is not a good deal. In relationships, the women get everything that they're looking for in order to stay present and produce the sex, under the excuse that they are responsible for the childbearing. And this is coming out of the mouths of women who are abortion driven, Plan B, contraceptives, O-rings, all this other stuff to prevent from being mothers, right? Where the men want a legacy, the woman doesn't want to be responsible, so the man can't have the legacy, but because it's supposed to be her responsibility, he has to give her everything that she wants. And that's the only thing that she's bringing to the table, is that if accidentally she ends up pregnant, then she's going to choose to take care of the kid while he's at work. So that the lack of value today comes from the assumption that in the future she might bring value, but for the entire time that you're dating her, from the first date until the day she starts bringing her value to the table, you are investing in a future behavior pattern that is not being expressed today. And that is not beneficial for men, which is one of the reasons why I tell guys, look, since we're the ones that's got to pay from the time we meet her until the day we die, if she doesn't leave us in a divorce, we're financially investing in her for the rest of our lives. We need to make sure that we get what we're looking for going in. Because no employer would hire you and not know that you're going to be a good worker. If you're not going to be a good worker, they're not going to keep you on their schedule for fucking 20 years. You got 90 days to show me what your fucking value is, or your ass is fired, right? So with that logic, we still have the mentality, why are we hiring a female that is not going to fulfill the female roles, where the only thing that the women believe that they're supposed to do is look attractive and give sex, and they don't want to give the sex, and they only look attractive for the guys they're not dating because they want to look like a bum in the house, because they want to feel comfortable in the house. So they never look attractive for their man. They only look attractive for society, which is what you're supposed to do to find a man, but you already got a man at the house. Do you see the conflict here? This goes way deeper than just, money for sex. Annie says, got to come up with interesting dates that are fun but not monetarily rich. I agree with you, and I'm going to try to give you a few of them. We're on page 5 of 78, so you got 73 more pages of it. So I know that I got some information in here about some free dates, some unorthodox cheap dates. When I gave y'all that one tip about going to the grocery store and go grocery shopping so that y'all can, not grocery shopping to fill her house and feed all her kids and shit, but I said one of the good dates that you can use is going to a grocery store, finding out what her favorite meal is and what your favorite meal is. It doesn't matter if it was something from when y'all was a kid. It doesn't matter if it was something that your ex made or whatever the case may be. We're not going to get petty about the shit. What is the one thing that you wish you could eat today that you haven't ate in a long time? Now, whatever that is, we're supposed to find out if we can recreate it. If we can, then we'll go to the store, we'll buy the ingredients, and we're going to try to recreate it. But we're not just going to do it for one person. We're going to do it for both of us, right? So within reason, what is it that you wish you could eat today that you have not had in a while? Something that brings back fond memories, something that you resonate with from a good time. By doing that, if I give you one, like for example, I grew up, my mama used to make German chocolate cake. Nobody has made me a German chocolate cake since my mom died, right? So first female that knows how to braid hair and bake cakes, she is in there, bro. That's my hair look like Don King because I ain't got a female braid my scalp down. But if she could braid hair and make a German chocolate cake, she is in there, bro. The only thing that'll give her an A++ is if she threw some gumbo down on top of that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's stuff like that where it's just, and that's just food. It's like you ain't even gotta fucking clean the house, bitch. All you gotta do is to cook 2 different kinds of food, break the scalp down, and take your ass to bed. And this man will cook and clean and everything else because it's like shit. This is the shit that I was looking for, right? Simple shit. Men are simple. But the dynamic is, you said convert information gathering. This is exactly what we're going to be doing. This is going to be information gathering. This is covert information gathering because you're going to tell me what this is, what your favorite meal is. You're going to tell me why you value it so much, the history behind it. So there's going to be either a romantic story about your ex when times was good. It's going to be a fond memory of your mom or your dad or your grandma, your brother, your sister, your cousin, whatever. Somebody who either you haven't seen in a long time or somebody who passed away and that you no longer have access to them anymore, which means you no longer have access to their recipe anymore. And that's going to be a bonding moment. So that's the first reason why this is beneficial, because you can use that as the icebreaker to, can I get your number? I don't really give a fuck about your number. I just wonder, well, what's your favorite meal? Maybe we can cook that together. Boom. Well, my meal is this. Well, why do you like that? Such and such happened, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Then I'm going to give you another story. Such and such happened, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Now, this is the thing. You've got something. I've got something. So we either have 2 entrees, we have 1 entree, 1 appetizer, or we have 1 entree and 1 dessert, or in some situations, 2 desserts, right? Now, we go to the store, we get the ingredients. We should be able to work together as a team to collect all of the ingredients for both recipes to the best of our abilities. Because some things aren't in stores where we're shopping at, but we can try to get as much of it as possible. If we're planning the date in the future where we're talking about it today and we're going to pick up the stuff like for next week's date or something like that, you might actually even be able to order some of the ingredients and get it shipped in so that by the time the ingredient, because Walmart.com can ship everything within 72 hours. So some of the stuff that you have to go and get, like the raw meats and everything like that, you got to go directly to the store and get it so it don't spoil. But some of the other things that can be ordered that's not sold in stores, y'all can get that shipped in special. And by the time y'all go to your date, y'all got what y'all need. Y'all decide whose house you're going to go to. Who's got the most pots and pans and plates? That's how you decide whose house you cook at. Whose house got the most pots, pans, and plates? Whose house got the functioning stove? Whose house got the functioning oven? That's it. That's how you decide the landmark, right? This is covert information gathering right here. Now, you go to the grocery store, you pick up the groceries. When you get to the register, how do y'all handle money together? Because if she's looking at you to pay, she's not offering to pay. She's not offering to pay for some of it. She's just looking at you like you got it. You're not going to even ask her. If she's not going to try to put something down on this shit, then you already know that she's going to expect you to pay for everything. It's telling you everything. The rule of thumb is whoever pays keeps the leftovers. So y'all going to cook all of the ingredients. Whatever's left over, whoever paid for the most shit gets to keep it. So if she offers to pay for half, then the half that she pays for, you leave those leftovers at her house. If she doesn't offer to pay, you're not going to say shit. You just swipe the card like, fuck it, I got it. It is. And then take all of the leftovers home with you because I paid for it all. She's going to get one plate of food. I get to keep the rest. And that means that the rest of the leftovers is something that I get to enjoy for the next week to 2 weeks for eating out of my fridge, which makes up for the fact that I spent all that money on it. So that is going to be why this is going to be a good deal for you because you're not losing out on any money. If you spent $300 on groceries and y'all cook enough food to last you for 2 or 3 weeks between the two of y'all, and then you take all the leftovers home, then, then you're in a situation where, you know, you're probably at $5 or $10 a plate going to be eating for the next 15 to 20 days. So you don't got to buy no more shit. You said sushi rice is hard to find. Order it online. You may not have to get specifically sushi rice. You may just have to get a specific type of rice that can become a sticky rice. And then you got to find the seaweed and everything to that effect. And y'all should have a good time trying to put it together. If y'all can work together and build a meal together on your first date, then that is a sign that y'all can build a life together, right? But if y'all fussing and arguing about what not to do and this, that, and the third, and y'all get frustrated with one another and this situation doesn't end well, you know that this would have been a complicated relationship because y'all would have been arguing about important shit because how to cook this food is not that important, right? So the teamwork aspect of it is going to be very important. And that would have been a fantastic date because at the end of the day, if y'all split the bill, y'all can split the food, y'all got leftovers, which means y'all can eat the food and reminisce about the first date. Then when you run out of groceries, y'all can have a second, right? And since it should take 3 to 5 hours for y'all to cook all this food, 2 to 3 hours to collect all the groceries, that's an 8-hour date. You should know enough about your partner because y'all are having a casual conversation in the grocery store, casual conversation at the register. Y'all look like a couple and it's your first date. Y'all are acting like a couple and it's your first date. Y'all are working as a team with loading the groceries in the car. You're working as a team getting the groceries out of the car. You're working as a team with organizing the groceries to cook the food. You're working as a team with putting all the groceries together to cook the meal. Then you're going to sit there and enjoy the meal together, right? So you know from that one type of date that this person is a long-term kind of person. Trader says, is the meal after you pass the interview regarding your job and assets? No, I think you're missing the point here. The meal is going to be based on your ability to evaluate the other person's ability to cooperate with you, negotiate with you, plan with you, execute that plan with you. That's what you're trying to see. Then you're able to get background information about the person, because when they give you the background story of why they want this food, when they give you the backstory on why they do things the way they do when they're cooking food, the way they cook the food, when they give you the backstory, like I will cook over an open flame because I've worked in restaurants. When I start naming the kind of sushi chefs, sous chef restaurants that I was working in and steak restaurants that I was working in, that she might decide to have me cook them steaks a certain kind of way just because she knows that I got that background, right? So just being able to talk about why you do what you do and how you do what you do, that's what builds a background information, and people are more able to bond over a common activity than it is with a question and answer situation. Because if neither person knows what question to ask, if one person asks a good question, they're going to say, oh, okay, they're going to answer that question. Now, what about you? What about you should not be a follow-up question to get to know who the fuck I am. If I ask you a good question about you because I want to know about you, you don't give me a shallow follow-up answer. What about you? So let's give us something to talk about. Now, gentleman comes up. He says, I'm pissed at this point. I can't ever get a date because women say I'm short at 5'11". I don't know what your problem is, because I'm 5'6" and I ain't got no problem with that shit. You say, please help. First, you're going to have confidence in yourself. Second, you need to stop chasing these women that are wearing stilts. Because if you're 5'11" and I'm 5'6.25", that puts you 4.5, 5 inches taller than me. And the same women that say that they're not going to talk to you because you're not 6'5" is the same women that's not going to talk to me because I'm 5'6". If she don't want to talk to you because she is fucking 5'2" and with stilts on, she's 6'1", and she gonna say you too short, then just walk away. You don't got to say nothing negative to her or nothing to that effect. You can just walk away. Walk away and go find you a 4'11" woman wearing flats. That's it. That's it. If you understand that the average Western culture woman is going to look down on you from her stilts and say that you're too short as a naturally standing man because she, as an unnaturally standing woman, is taller than you with her stilts on, and I'm going to call her stilettos just that, fucking stilts. And they're reckless because they're platform shoes, 3 to 6 inch platform shoes with another 3 to 6 inch lift on them, which is giving you a 9 to 12 inch height advantage on your natural height. So if you're adding, 6 to 9, 12 inches to your height, you went from 5'2", 5'4" to goddamn 6'1", 6'2", and now you're looking down on everybody else that is taller than you because you got stilts on. Fuck you, I ain't got time to talk to you. We ain't even gonna go down that path. So your best bet is to put yourself in a position where you're talking to people that are normal. You talk to a girl that's going to be wearing a 3-inch lift at the most. 3 inches is the most. If she got on 6-inch fucking heels and y'all are not going to a very, very upscale, elegant scenario, she's doing too much. She can do a 3-inch heel. She can do a 4-inch heel, a 5-inch heel. That's fine. That's this. That's this. You know what a 3 or 4-inch heel is? It's the same as a fucking cowboy boot. It's the same as a damn work boot. 3 or 4 inch lift. That's it. She should not have more than that. She got a fucking 6-inch stiletto where she's standing on her tippy toes to look. No, that's all right. I don't even want to talk to you. So that's how you fix that problem. Don't even waste your time. When you walk past her and she got 6-inch heels on to walk down the street to go to the gas station to get her a bag of chips, that's what she's doing with fucking 6-inch heels on. That's okay. That's okay, because working girls wear 6-inch heels at the truck stop. I'm not trying to talk to them kind of girls, right? Steven says, if a woman wants to know my financial health and net worth before the grocery date, there will be no grocery date. Well, this is going to be one of the things, Steven, you right on point with that, because if a female is going to start asking you about money before y'all even set up the date, never mind. That's it. Never mind. I just wanted to know. I understand. But you are supposed to have confidence in me. Even though you don't know who I am, you're supposed to have confidence in me if you're going to agree to go somewhere with me, that I am not going to take advantage of you financially. So if our interaction with one another starts with you not having enough confidence in me, is mutual respect, that I'm not going to take advantage of you financially, where if the shoe was on the other foot and I was expected to pay for everything, that I'm supposed to have universal mutual respect for you to assume that you're not going to overspend on my budget, right? In this dynamic, if you're that afraid of finance, you and I are not a good match, right? So I agree with you on that, Steven. But when we say, hey, we're going to go to the grocery store, we're going to buy the ingredients, we're going to come back to the house, we're going to cook up the ingredients. I'm not even going to mention who's going to pay for the shit. Platform shoes are the red flag. Yes, sir. Platform shoes are septum rings. And I have found some very attractive girls with septum rings, and I'm just like, There is a stereotype with septum rings, and I stand by that. I'm like, as cute as she is, I can't talk to her as long as she got that thing in her nostrils. Trader says, I agree. Walk away and look for new prospects. It's like a sales job. He said, I go to a young adult group, and yes, I am shy, so I don't talk to women, but they never come up to me. Do most men have to initiate the first convo? A lot of women expect that to happen, and since men are, unless you are showing off a bunch of money, a lot of the low financial status women are not going to come up and talk to you by default. So unless you are, I gave you guys a couple of episodes about how to dress. And if you guys are carrying yourself one step above the rest, where you stand out in a more sophisticated professional manner with your posture, your stance, and your confidence, then they will come up and find out who you are, because you are a different man than all the other men in the room, right? You're not overly gaudy, you're not overly flashy, but you do have a different level of sophistication than the other men in the room, and they will want to come over and find out who you are from the novelty of it. But the issue is from that is that novelty may not turn into a permanent scenario. So you have to understand that when you are just standing there waiting for them to come talk to you, you might go out 52 times out of the year and have a woman approach you twice out of the year, right? And one of those two women will work at the establishment just to see if you need a refill, right? Now, Western culture puts the priority on men to approach women, which I think is inappropriate, because with the way women devalue and degrade and humiliate and misanderize towards men, that since women have such a negative opinion of men, it should be the woman's priority to approach men the way they do in the Philippines, because the dynamic is going to be the same in the Philippines, is that the woman approaches the man, the woman pays for the first handful of dates. When the woman and man commit to one another, the man takes over the financial responsibilities. The woman performs the feminine roles. She's got 5 degrees. She's got all these different languages. She works on her own company, but she still goes back and takes good care of her man, because her man's going to put his life on the line to protect her. Her man's going to make sure that the shit's right at the house. She's going to make sure the shit's right at the house, right? But Western culture women believe that they don't need any responsibility because they got a fucking job. And they're going to respect their boss, who is a man, more than they respect their boyfriend or their husband, which makes no sense. And their excuse is he gives you a paycheck. Right. But your husband pays for your entire standard of living, right? Your boss gives you basically an allowance. Your husband allows you to keep that allowance, don't pay for absolutely nothing else. You take care of yourself and he takes care of you. You do nothing for him. And that's the way life is supposed to be. So at the end of the day, I would tell you, if you're going to walk up to a woman, your goal is not to walk up to a woman with the intent to take her on a date. Your goal is to walk up to women with the intent to find out who she is, get to know her a little bit. Maybe decide if you want a second interaction with this person. Not a date, a second interaction. Because a second interaction is, hey, are you going to be here next week? When I come back, we can talk. That's it. I don't need your fucking number. If we frequent the same place every week on the same day, then I will meet you here next week and then we can talk. Now, I got my second follow-up meeting with her. I did not have to break the ice with begging for her number. If she wants my number, she will ask me for it. But if she's willing to come here knowing that I'm going to be here next time, because I'm going to be here regardless, then we have an unofficial date. So that's how you deal with that. He said, I just feel like they're going to get weirded out when I talk to them. I hate being a male. This sounds so weird, but I would rather be a girl right now if I could. A lot of the men that don't have the masculine upbringing that they needed, with 82% of broken homes being raised exclusively by women that hated men and didn't want men in their lives, in the children's lives. A lot of men have that same perspective, but you have to understand that whether you're a girl or a dude, if you're dating chicks, women are going to have the exact same experience that men have when they date women. there are more breakups in a female-female relationship than what there are in a female-male relationship, and there's more breakups in a male-female relationship than what there is in a male-male relationship, because there's less conflict between men, because men can negotiate and work things out. So, oh man, I'm about to get deep dive into the topic. So whenever you have time, you can always go back and see the rest of the show, because after it's live, it's going to be a post live show. So you'll be able to see the rest of it, because I haven't gotten to the meat and potatoes of it. But I was talking about some of the things that you guys have brought up on the way through. But once we get to the heart of the story, you're going to be like, damn, he got way more shit going on. I do. Like I said, we're only 5 pages into a 78 page discussion. So I got a whole another hour and a half to 2 hours worth of stuff to talk about here. So you can always come back and watch it later when you got more time. Is that I'll hit the replay for the rest. Exactly. And it'll be here. It'll always be here. Trader said, I would love to do a TV show where tall women reject Xander, but then chase him because he steps out and he gets into a brand new Ferrari. Well, see, that's going to be the thing. I would be the worst person for a bait car scenario, because I will be stepping out of a 20-year-old Cadillac or a 20-year-old Chrysler 300 or a 30-year-old Toyota or a 25-year-old. If I'm going to have I might do like an Audi from like 97 with the standard shift, or a Mustang from 69 or something like that. If I don't see myself buying a Ferrari, and the reason why I don't see myself buying a Ferrari is because Ferraris are a waste of money. Right now they're selling Bentleys for $12,000 and $17,000 for 2012 Bentleys, which is like 20-year-old cars that only got like 80,000 miles on them or something to that effect, mint condition, because they're very rarely used. But while that's a good buy to get, at the same time, the insurance is going to be higher on that son of a bitch. The maintenance is going to be higher on that son of a bitch. In a low-income neighborhood, riding around in Bentleys, the police is going to be targeting you like it's a drug-funded car, stuff to that effect. So there are pluses and minuses to getting luxury cars. You do not want to have a loud financial standard of living. You want to have a quiet, discreet standard of living. So while it might feel good for you to have a $12,000 Bentley that you bought cash up front, it would be societally more effective for you and your agenda to get you a common car that might cost $5,000 or $10,000, where nobody looks at you because they think you've got money. Because if I pulled up in a Ferrari, everybody would think I have money. If I pulled up in a Camry, nobody would think I have money, right? Even though I got a lot of money, nobody would think I got money, right? So I would love to see myself talking to a woman that was taller. I don't think I would have much of a conversation with her though, because she'll try me with the height thing, and I would be trying her with the weight thing. Well, if I can't be a certain height, ma'am, you can't be a certain weight. That's true, but they don't know that the Ferrari was rented for the show. You know what? That's true. Most of those guys with the bait car things, they rent the car, which is a waste of money, but they're doing it for clickbait, for content. So they're getting paid off of the platform for the hundreds of thousands of views for the people who pay attention to it. They rent the car, they go down the street to the downtown area or wherever high foot traffic is, and then they just wait. They wait for people to pass by. They put a cameraman across the street or whatever, and then they wait. And then as soon as they see somebody walking by, you notice the trend. They don't go more than 20 or 30 feet away from the car. That way, 5 or 10 steps later, they are getting into the car, which allows for when she turns her back and walks away, or when he turns his back and walks away, within that first 3 to 5 seconds, she's going to look back. Everybody does it. Men and women alike always look back at the rejection to the conversation that just occurred, whether they were the one being rejected or the one doing the rejection. And when they look back, if they see the guy getting into an expensive car, now dollar signs happen and their minds switch. Self-preservation. I almost missed out on a profit here. Let me go back and recapture the deal, right? And then they run back over in desperation and try to fix their fuck up. But the fact is that you're supposed to talk to everybody with a level of respect, regardless of how much money they have or don't have. Mutual respect, right? We don't have mutual respect. We only hold in Western culture beneficial respect, meaning I will respect you if I benefit from it. But we're supposed to have mutual respect. I'm supposed to respect you as a person as much as you want me to respect you as a person, right? So if a man thought that you were attractive enough for you to talk to, you should appreciate the fact that he is not disrespecting you in the fashion when he walks up and explains to you that he was attracted from afar and he wants to get to know you in a respectable fashion. That mutual respect. But shutting him down, oh, he greasy, he grungy, oh, I don't like your outfit, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, it's like, look, if you were in the middle of going somewhere and you don't have it in your schedule to entertain social interactions, you could just say that. You don't got to devalue me as a person to, make yourself feel better about the fact that you dressed in a way to attract male attention. And then when you got that male attention, you get the pleasure of shutting down that male attention so that you can go back and talk to your homegirls like, yes, girl, I was walking down the street and this dude just came out of nowhere and just started talking to me, blah, 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 blah. I know I'm good, but I expect him to come up here and come talk to me. You know what I mean? That's really the dynamic. It's not, and that type of bait and switch, that we have to deal with as men, which is why I understand why the other man feels so distraught about communicating with women. But I could see myself in a situation where they not interested because I'm 5'6" and 1/4. All right, I got some that wouldn't be interested because I'd be standing there with my dog. Okay, I'm not going to waste my time talking to you. I'm not. Matter of fact, body language. I pay attention to the body language. If your body language gives me the vibe that you don't really want to talk to me, I'm not going to talk to you. If you're doing a clutch purse behavior, I'm not going to talk to you. If I thought I wanted to talk to you, I'm not going to talk to you now. If you're trying to dodge me, I'm not going to try to engage you. I'm not going to deliberately get in your way so that you and I can communicate. So if I'm trying to walk in your direction and you're trying to walk away from me, that's okay. I'm not about to head you off at the beaten path and be like, hey, no, let's talk. No, fuck that shit. You don't want to talk, bitch. I don't want to talk to you either. So back to the main topic. Let's get one thing straight right away. The phrase never pay on the first date is a terrible branding, right? It's clunky, aggressive, and easily misunderstood. In the chaos of online dating discourse, it's often thrown around as a weapon, twisted to mean anything from men should never pay to women are just using you, right? But that's all just noise. And the real meaning behind the strategy is far more intelligent, which is one of the reasons why I bring this shit to you. He says, some guys has a show on YouTube where he asks foreign women to cook for him, and if he pays for the groceries and it works like a charm. Well, the thing is that foreign women have more respect for their men because foreign women are raised in cultures where the family-oriented behavior is encouraged. So what happens is that they are taught, the women, so places, and one of the reasons why I always go back to the Philippines, because Vietnam, Thailand, Taiwan, Taipei, Japan, some areas on the outskirts of Tokyo, these are all places where it works in Hong Kong and China, but it's more expensive over there, that the women are raised to lead the household in the absence of the man, because the man is supposed to be at work doing what he's supposed to do. So as long as you have the finances to support her standard of living in places like the Philippines, where you're not just taking care of the woman, you're taking care of the woman and some of the woman's family too. Whatever her financial responsibility was is now your financial responsibility. So if she was taking care of herself and her two brothers, you're taking care of her and her two brothers, right? So let's be real. It's not like the women are fucking free in another country. But if you are going to support her standard of living, she is going to take excellent care of you. So if a man walks up to a woman in another country and says, hey, if you cook, I'll buy the groceries, she will stop what the fuck she's doing and be like, two questions. What's your budget and what do you want to eat? That's it. That's it. That's it. She will everywhere, and she will grab all of the best stuff on all the best deals, cook you a massive dinner, more than what you can eat by yourself. And then you're probably going to let her keep that, because what are you going to do walking around with 20 bags of pre-cooked food, you're just going to leave some of that stuff there, right? It's a fantastic thing because the women in other countries have value in people, family, and their men, right? Western culture doesn't have that value. If you tell a woman in America that I will pay for the groceries if you cook, a lot of women would insist instead that we just go out to eat or order some takeout. There are a lot of women in Western culture that don't know how to cook at all, right? So us working together to cook on a first date is a challenge for a lot of women because they don't know shit about cooking because they've had their mom cook for them. If they had a two-parent household, their dad cooked for them, their older sibling cooked for them. They were dating men that cooked for them, right? Because when you think about it, every time you eat out, 90% of every kitchen is men. You might have a female manager back there, but the majority of cooks in every kitchen, every five-star restaurant, every one of the places that has the best cooks in your city and state are men in the kitchen, and the women are handing the food out to the customers on the service floor. It is a gender inequality division where women are put in the front of the house because sex sells. So attractive women go in the front of the house, the men go in the back of the house, and the men will cook and wash the dishes and take out the trash, and the women will serve and make drinks and bring the food to the table. So most men know how to cook better than most women, and most women don't know how to cook at all because they've never had to. Takeout, TV dinners, a man that cooks, a family member that cooks, a friend that cooks, a friend's relative that cooks. So they're always eating good food from somewhere else, but they're never making it. So even if like dude had $100 budget, $100 is a lot of food to cook. I'm gonna be honest with you. And when I was covering some shows a few months back, where I was cooking food that lasted for a month, like I was making like chicken burritos and steaks and boneless spare ribs, and I was cooking all kind of stuff on the show. I was actually creating a food channel on this podcast, separate from the live podcast. The way I was cooking stuff, I just have to keep doing it. I had surf and turf style beef and shrimp burgers that I was making and all kinds of other stuff that I had going on, and it would take me several hours for each one of those meals to cook it, and that didn't even include cleanup. But each one of those meals was under $100, $120 to make for 2 to 3 weeks worth of servings, right? So $100 is a lot of money for two people to eat a home cooked meal. But not a lot of women would agree to that in Western culture. So when we peel back the layer of never pay on a first date, it isn't a command to be stingy. It's a philosophy. It's a shorthand for a much bigger idea. Do not let money become the opening language of your relationship. That's what it means. Okay? It means do not use spending to prove your worth as a man. Do not use a fancy dinner to manufacture attraction. And most importantly, do not start a dynamic that's immediately centered on a transaction. That's what don't pay for the first date means, right? So we didn't come out the definition of the shit now, okay? So to really get this, we need to look at it from 3 angles. The financial angle, which is the angle that a lot of people talk about in the most negative fashion, the psychological angle, and then the strategic angle, right? First, the financial layer. This is the most obvious part, but also the most misinterpreted. This isn't about being unable to afford a date. It's about sustainability. If you're actively dating, say 1 or 2 new people a week, that's a lot of dating. The traditional dinner and drinks model gets incredibly expensive very fast. We're talking hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars a month spent on people you most definitely will never see again. Because if you're doing 1 or 2 dates a week, that's upward of 8 dates a month. And if you're doing $100 dinner dates, $150 dinner dates every date, that is $300 a week That is $1,200 a month. That is $12,000 in 10 months. Okay? That's what? Almost $15,000 a year on just dates at $100 to $150 a date, 2 people a week. Okay? It's a lot of fucking money. Okay? And we've already talked about this plenty of times before, that you could put that money in a brokerage account and make yourself a multi-millionaire over the course of 10 to 20 years. But just for the sake of this dynamic, it's a lot of money to put on dating. So this isn't just a financial drain. It's also going to be an emotional drain. Because when every first meeting happens, it has a big price tag. Dating starts to feel like a high stakes investment with very low return. A low cost or free date, a walk in the park, a visit to a museum, a simple coffee, keeps dating sustainable. Y'all notice I done had a 36-ounce cup of coffee with every show that I have had. And with the little Keurig cups that I use, it's probably maybe 25 or 30 cents a cup. You can get, 90 of them for like $25 at Walmart, right? 90 36-ounce cups of coffee for like $25 at Walmart. That's way cheaper than $10 to $15 per coffee when I'm having coffee at a Starbucks or someplace, right? 90 cups of coffee at $10 a cup is $900 instead of like $25 or $30 for 90 cups of coffee. You got to understand the difference, the sustainability. It's going to allow you to meet more people without your dating life becoming a source of a financial stress. Next, and way more importantly, is the psychological layer. He said those cups are too rich for my brother. I brew out an old school coffee pot. Bro, I have not created the video for this coffee pot, bro. I've got a coffee pot right now that does the froth thing. So I can, and the reason why I haven't done it yet is because I haven't put the motivation to do this. I was supposed to stop by the store, pick me up a little bit of Kahlua, grab me some of the ingredients, almost like the ingredients to make a White Russian. Because you can do Bayless Irish cream, that'll work too. But you put it in the thing, you froth it, it foams it up, and then pours the coffee into it. It mixes everything up. The coffee pot mixes everything up. I have never had a coffee pot that mixes the ingredients in the cup while it mixed the coffee. And I was like, fuck yeah, $40 on Temu, right? And the only reason why I bought it is because my previous Keurig coffee pot broke. And the only reason why I had that one was because my ex left it behind. And I have family members that got an old school coffee pot with the coffee filters in it. They ran out of filters, and I was like, "Shit, you can peel the lid off of a Keurig coffee cup, and you can pour the." So, like, if you get the jug of Folgers Crystals or whatever, you know how you got the little scoop. You can take that scoop. You can take your pre-used Keurig coffee filter, right, and take the lid off of it, rinse it out, pour the thing on there, pour some coffee in there. You can even take you a little bit of aluminum foil and wrap it around there, put it back in that bitch, reuse it, and make you some damn coffee, bro. I was using all the Folgers Crystals. I was using all of the Colombian coffee in the house. I was just coffee. So when I got a coffee machine that can froth my shit like a Starbucks coffee, bro, I was like, yes, it was money well spent. So, and it was twice as much as replacing the one that broke with the exact same model at Walmart for $22. But I spent $44 on this one to get shipped in from China, where it mixes my coffee and the ingredients in it for me. So I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's a dating budget of $12,000 a month. Sounds a little bit excessive. You would think so. But imagine this, though. We're talking about the average. There's 2 types of dates that people use as a go-to dating recommendation when they're not being creative. We're going to go out for drinks, which is usually 2 drinks an hour per person. And if we're going to be there for 3 or 4 hours, it might be 6 or 8 drinks per person, which is somewhere between 12 and 16 drinks for the date. Okay. Now, that's if we're going out drinking, we're going dancing to the bar. It's going to be about 6 to 8 drinks, right? But so depending on where you're going and depending on the prices of the drinks, because if they're going to get regular single liquor drinks, because it's alcohol, it might be $5 or $8 a glass. If it's beers, it might be $2.50 a bottle, right? $2, maybe $3 a bottle. So let's go off of $3 a bottle. If each person has 8, that's almost 20. It's like 16. It's almost 20. So, you're looking at $360 at $3 a bottle. Well, no, you're looking at $3 a bottle, 3 times 16 is like $36. $36 for the beer. Okay, that's just the beer, right? But most people get hungry, right? Now, before we start factoring in the food, let's take into consideration that if you're doing single malt liquors or whatever, you're going to be bought mid-shelf, probably bottom shelf alcohols, probably are going to start at $8 to $12 a glass. So let's say about $10 a glass, because the average female wants a sex on the beach, right? So you're looking at about $10 a glass for drinks. If each of you is getting 8 glasses of drink per person, that's $160 on just drinks. So if you're doing beers, you might do $50 to $75 worth of beers if you're doing like domesticated beers, because if you're doing imported beers or high shelf ciders, then you're probably still going to be looking at $85 to $150 for drinks. When you start spending more than $100 per engagement and you're having 2 engagements per week, you're still looking at $200 a month, $200 a week. Now, let's take other activities, like let's go bowling. If we're going bowling twice a week, it's probably about $85 to go bowling. You're looking at like $40, $50 for the lane, $20 a person for the shoes. And we're talking about all night, like the $45 for all night bowling, but we're still paying $20 a person for shoes, plus the food if we're going to eat and drink there. There are not very many things. Roller skating is like $75. Ice skating might be $50 to $100. Like there's very few activities that adults do that doesn't cost money. So when you start talking about the average date that actually costs money, let's say dinner and a movie, the dinner and movie offer, even if we're doing a mid-tier restaurant at $50 for the 2 of us, right? Let's go to Olive Garden, buy one, get one for $25 a plate kind of thing. We spend $50 on the meal, but then we go to the nearest cinema and we're spending $25, $15 a ticket. That's $30. Popcorn for each of us is $10 a piece, and that puts us at $50. And if we get us a drink for each of us, you know what I mean? We're looking at probably $50 to $75. So between the dinner, that on its cheapest scenario might be $50, followed by the movie, where we're still going to get popcorn and some drinks and stuff to snack on, right? We're still going to be spending almost $50 to $75 at the movie. Together is $125. So if you do dinner and movies twice a week, different people, you're still spending almost $300, $250 to $300 a week, which is still putting you at upward to $1,000 to $1,200 a month to actively date. Special shout out to OG Kicks. It's crazy. The money adds up while you're having a good time. People don't notice this because the women don't have to pay unless they're going to offer to do half, and the men might get laid, and they're only focused on, does she like me enough for me to get laid tonight? So they don't care how much money it costs until they start looking at how much money they don't have left. I don't want her to think I'm a broke ass dude. I got to wire some money here and do this and do that and cover the spread and blah, 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 blah. And then after the date, as long as the date went well, I want to see her again. Let me get my money together so that I can take her out on another date. But there's never a scenario where we're like, bro, this is fucking waste of money. It's not about her. It's about the activity. That is a waste of money. We're not coming up with better ways to do this, right? So yeah, it's really excessive, but that's what we do. It's $1,200 a month on average. So if you're only going out on a date once a month, or if you're only going out once a month, or not once a month, but if you're only going out once a week, you're going to go out 1 of your 2 days off, and you're going to set yourself a limit and say, well, I'm only going to spend like $50 to $75 when I go out, right? that still means that at bare minimum, you're spending $50 a week, which is $200 a month, which is $2,000 a year. Just leave the house. And then if you're going to pay for a second person, you know what I mean? You're going to double that. So that's $4,000. You know what I mean? It just costs you a lot of money. Steven says, 2 drinks an hour. Wow. You people know how to drink responsibly. I could never do that. That's why I don't drink anymore. But Steven, I'm talking about realistically speaking. If you're partying like a rock star, you might be getting a different drink every 15 minutes. But if you are trying not to look like a drunk, you're trying not to have this female carrying you out of the bar, you're trying not to have this activity not be the ending of the night activity, you're going to pace yourself. So the difference between hanging out by yourself and drinking until you can't drink no more versus being with a person that you don't want to think negatively about you, your decision making as to the frequency of how many times you take a sip out of your glass is going to be different. So when I say 2 drinks an hour, because y'all are supposed to be talking, not chugging, right? You should spend 20 minutes at least with your drink, right? She's not going to drink as fast as you, and you're going to offer to get her a refill when you go to get a refill. So you're not going to want to get up and go and get a drink until her drink is done. Now that likely you probably finish your first drink inside of the first 15 minutes. She might take a little longer to finish hers than you. Almost 20, 25 minutes. By the time you get to the bartender and order a second drink, 30 minutes have passed. 2 drinks an hour. And if y'all are having a good time and y'all are dancing, if y'all are out there at a karaoke spot and y'all are singing and other stuff to that effect, there's more time in between refills, right? But even if it wasn't 2 drinks an hour, even if it was 2 drinks every 15 minutes, and you're now only going to be there, still 8 drinks over the course of 2 hours is 4 drinks an hour, which is, every 15 minutes you got to drink. You're only there for 2 hours. You're still spending the same quantity of money in a shorter period of time, right? It's still the same, but you know that you can go to the nightclub on average. A lot of people can go to the nightclub on average and find themselves getting in at like 11 or 12 o'clock at night, staying there till 3 o'clock in the morning, walking out of the club with a $300 bill for drinks, right? And sometimes that's when you're going by yourself. So you can imagine if you're going out there on a date, right? Now, on a psychological layer, this is going to be where the strategy really shows its power. Because when a first date involves a lot of money, it subtly changes the entire dynamic. The main question of the date shifts from curiosity, which is, do we connect? Is there chemistry? To evaluation. Was this worth the bill? And then on the other dynamic is, what do I get out of the deal? And then from the woman's side of it, should I have to put out because of how much he spent on me? Which is all levels of uncomfortable thought process that people internalize. So you got to think about that. The moment a $150 check hits the table, a weight is introduced. The person who pays might feel pressure for the date to be successful just to justify the cost. The person who is treated might feel a sense of obligation. And this is going to be called reciprocity pressure. Powerful psychological force. Even if it's unconscious thought process, it can create a feeling that sometimes something is owed in return for what was paid, be it more time on the current date, be it a follow-up second date at the other person's expense, or even extra layers of affection. This pressure makes it hard to gauge genuine interest. A low-cost date removes this completely. The only things being exchanged are your time, which should be weighted equally to my time, and your attention, which should be weighted equally to my attention. When the amount of money that I spent is being weighted against your ability to show up and be here, the expectation for you to do more to bring value to what I paid makes it an imbalanced scale of judgment. By removing that unnecessary cost, the focus stays exactly where it should be, on the connection between the two people. Finally, we have the strategic layer of this situation. This is all about filter. A first date is a screening tool. You're both gathering data. By proposing a low cost or free first date, you're running a brilliant diagnostic test on your potential partner's value, because their reaction tells you everything. Are they someone who can enjoy a simple, beautiful experience, or do they require performative spending to feel impressed? If someone scoffs at the idea of a wall but lights up at the mention of a 5-star restaurant, that's an incredibly valuable quantity of information. It might mean that your values or lifestyle are fundamentally different than theirs. By starting simple, you filter for people who value creativity over valuing cost, and people who are looking for a genuine connection, not a financial benefactor. You're setting a standard that your value comes from your presence, not your wallet. And that's the most powerful position that you can take in any first encounter. So if a low cost first date is so logical, why is the question of who pays still one of the most heated topics in modern dating? And why does a simple piece of paper at the end of the meal trigger so much anxiety and resentment? It's because a check is never just a check. It's loaded with cultural baggage, conflicting social rules, and personal meanings. So we can't agree on who should pay because we can't agree on what paying actually means for the date. First, you have the traditionalists. Here, the script is going to be clear. The man pays. This norm is going to be rooted in history, where the man was the provider and paying was a direct signal of his ability and willingness to fill that role. It was a gesture of courtship. Even today, many people find comfort in this tradition. For some, a man paying feels gentlemanly and polite, and it can be seen as a clear sign of interest. In fact, research by academics like Dr. Marissa T. Cohen has explored how dating scripts shape our perceptions, with findings suggesting that women often interpret a man paying for a date as a sign of a greater romantic interest. The script is familiar. It removes the awkward "who's getting this" dance, right? Then you have the modernists. In this camp, things are a lot less clear. With a woman's financial independence and a greater emphasis on equality, the traditional script feels outdated to many. Modern dating is a mix of competing ideas. Splitting the bill 50-50 for equality, have the initiator pay or take turns on a later date. For modernists, splitting the bill isn't about being stingy. It is a statement that some people believe says that we are two equals. I'm not expecting you to provide for me. It's about establishing a balanced partnership from the start, and many women prefer to pay their own way to avoid any personal feelings of a sense of obligation. I'm going to be honest with you. I strongly disagree with that dynamic. I do not find value in the woman being able to pay 50-50 because it shows me that the most that she's willing to contribute to our success is her half. A lot of relationships in modern 2026 are not going to be 50-50. And the reason being is because modern feminist models believe that if the woman pays for half of the bills, that we are equal. But relationship dynamics still make the man pay for the woman's entertainment and pay for gifts for the woman to show his love and affection. So the money that the man saves on paying basic bills is redirected towards her hair, her nails, her makeup, her shoes, her purse, her outfit, her girls' night out, her vacation. So while he may not be directly paying for 100% of the bills 100% of the time, he is still paying 100% of his income towards a standard of living where she is only putting up 50% of the bills, but 100% of what she gets in life is covered by him. And we've shown in a lot of statistics that we've pulled up that men spend about 49 to 51% of their income on women in their relationships. And those women benefit from 23% of the money that they get from their men, which leaves about 18 or 19% of money that is unaccounted for, which is luxury and wasteful spending. When a man breaks up with a woman, he gets back more than half of his income. And when a woman breaks up with a man, she loses a quarter of her subsidies, her stability. But if he's giving up half, if he's giving up more than half, and she's only gaining a quarter, they together are collectively wasting a quarter. Right? So it's not 50-50. Because if she's putting up her 50%, right, and he's reimbursing her that by doing nice things for her, he's still paying for all of it and a little extra. Right? So why the constant conflict? Well, it's because money is a language, and not everybody knows how to speak that language. And we're all speaking in different dialects of the same language. One person sees paying as generosity, another sees it as a display of power. One person sees splitting the bill as equality. Another person sees it as a lack of interest. And I'm one of those people. The bill becomes a proxy for all these larger values. It's a communication problem disguised as a financial problem. This is precisely where the low-cost first date strategy shines. It sidesteps the entire messy debate by proposing a date where money isn't the main event. A scenic walk, a free local event, that's something where you remove the loaded symbolism of the actual bill. You take the weapon of the check off the table, and the focus shifts from the transaction to the interaction. Now, we've established that big money changes the dynamic of a first date. But to really get why the free date strategy is so effective, we need to look at the hidden psychological levers that money pulls in our brain. The first and most powerful is reciprocity pressure. Humans are hardwired for reciprocity. When someone gives us something, we feel a deep urge to give something back. On a date, when one person pays for an expensive meal, it creates an unspoken debt. Now, this is usually subtle. Research on dating scripts has consistently found that who pays can shape expectations for what happens next. Some studies suggest that when a man pays for a date, he may have higher expectations for physical intimacy than the women. This creates a psychological imbalance. The person who was treated might feel pressure to be more agreeable to the expectations, to laugh a little harder, or to agree to a second date that they aren't truly excited about, all to relieve that subconscious feeling of debt. You owe me, or in some situations, I owe you. A free date neutralizes this feeling. The only thing you owe each other is the respect of being there and enjoying the day. The second psychological trap is the sunk cost bias. Now, this is going to be a well-known cognitive bias where we've more likely to stick with something if we've already invested time and or money into it, even if it's a bad idea, right? So imagine that you're on a date at a fancy restaurant. You've dropped $200 down on a date. 30 minutes in, you realize you have zero chemistry. Your rational brain says this isn't a match, but the sunk cost bias whispers, but you've already spent so much money. You have to stay and get your money's worth out of the date. So you sit through another hour of awkwardness. A simple coffee date frees you from this particular experience. If you spent $5 on coffee and a realization occurs within 15 minutes that there's no connection, the psychologically effortless ability to say, well, it was really nice to meet you, and walk away is less difficult. Your decision is going to be based on compatibility, not your wallet. Right? The third factor is attention and memory hijacking. Because on a fancy dinner date, where is your attention? A big chunk of it is on the environment. The complex menu, the server, the formal etiquette, right? The venue becomes a main character. Now, contrast that with a walk through the park. Where's your attention there? On each other, and potentially how far you're going. Because you're moving together side by side, which is psychologically less confrontational. You're observing the world together, creating shared experiences. Look at that weird dog. Did you hear that musician? You know, these spontaneous moments are the building blocks of real connection. The environment becomes a catalyst for conversation, not a distraction from the conversation. All right. Well, we're getting deep into the psychological aspects of this here. And I'm really curious, for those of you that are still with us, I want to know what's your take on it. Have you ever felt that reciprocity pressure or sunk cost bias on your dates? That feeling that you had to stay just because the money was spent, or you had a reservation, so you got to finish the date, right? I want to know how you felt about that. What was your story? And put those into the comments for me. I'm going to read every single one of them. And if you're finding these breakdowns very valuable, make sure that you hit that subscription button. Make sure you like the show, master reaction buttons, because we're about to get into the practical scripts and strategies that you guys were asking about a couple of hours ago. So we got the theory. Now, let's talk brass tacks. Let's frame this not as a defense against being used for a meal, but as a proactive power move to improve your dating life. Okay. So a low cost first date gives you 4 huge advantages. The first advantage is going to be that it's the ultimate filter. A first date is an assessment. You're gathering data. An expensive dinner is a terrible interview setting because it encourages performance. People put on their fancy dinner persona, which can mask incompatibility. A low-cost date is like a real-world test. It reveals so much more. Can this person co-create a fun conversation, or do they need a venue to entertain them. Their reaction to a simple date idea gives you a direct insight into their values. It helps you find someone who is interested in you, not in your lifestyle. You can also observe whether or not they are expecting you to temporarily provide this lifestyle. Now, this is the single most effective way to weed out transactional people early. This is how you get rid of the gold diggers. This is how you get rid of the people that are only there for the fancy car and the expensive house, right? Advantage number 2 is going to be the financial sustainability and risk reduction. This might sound like a cheap argument, but it's pure logic. Finding a great partner is going to be always, especially for men, a numbers game. I've told you guys the statistics of advertisement. Out of 100% of the people that sees your advertisement, 5% of people are going to react to it. Out of the 5% of people that react to it, less than half of them are going to react favorably, which ultimately means that 2.5% of all people that sees your advertisement will react favorably. Now, for each positive action and response requires another calculation. So out of 100% of the people that sees your ad, 2.5% are going to click on it. Out of the 100% of the people that click on it, 2.5% of it is going to communicate. Out of 100% of the people that communicate, 2.5% are going to want to go on a date. Out of 100% of the people that go on a date, 2.5% are going to want to go on a follow-up date. When you look at each, that's 4 different steps to get to the second date. You realize that that is 3 people out of about 10,000 people that you had to interact with or passively have interact with your profile before you got to a second date individual. It's a numbers game. So when we start talking about ritualistically going out on dates with different people, let's say that you go on a first date once a week. If each date is a modest $80 dinner, you're spending over $320 a month, nearly $4,000 a year. We was crunching these numbers just on the first date. That's a fucking vacation. That's financial pressure that leads to dating burnout. Adapting a low-cost first date strategy like a $5 coffee makes dating financially sustainable. It removes the risk from the equation. It allows you to meet more people and stay in the game longer without feeling drained. And you can approach each meeting with curiosity rather than thinking this better be worth $80. Advantage number 3, authenticity over performance. High-end settings encourage performance, right? We put on a mask. But who are you on a regular Tuesday night? When you got fucking stilettos on, you shaved your legs, waxed them, polished them, then you put on some stockings to cover them, and then you got the long, hopefully, God, you got a long dress, because a lot of the times you got the mini skirt on where the butt cheeks is hanging out in the back, your crotches are showing in the front, you got the halter top showing, the belly button sticking out with the belly button ring sticking out, and you're thinking, oh, I'm cute, right? All of that doesn't change the fact that you normally at the house would have been sweat, slippers, socks, and a long tee with a stain on it from 15 years ago with your hair all over your head and a bonnet is the normal you. Me taking you to the high-end restaurant is not going to get who you are on a regular Tuesday. It's going to get who you pretend to be when you leave the house for a guaranteed $300 night, right? That's the person that your future partner will actually be with if you find out who that person is on the first handful of dates. What's your normal day-to-day reaction kind of behavior? Are you combative, conflictual? Are you reasonable? Are you laid back? Are you organized, disorganized? Are you on time or late? These are things that we can find out in a low pressure zone situation, right? A casual date gives you a glimpse of the real person that you might be spending the rest of your life with. You get to see their authentic conversational styles, their sense of humor, their natural pacing. You get to see if the chemistry is going to be real or if it was just manufactured by romantic lighting and expensive wine and sometimes just physical desire. Advantage number 4 is going to be the grateful exit, the graceful exit. That's going to be what it is, the graceful exit. I mean, yeah, you're going to be grateful, but it's a graceful exit. Not every first date is going to be a home run. In fact, most of them aren't. A good first date should be easy to end gracefully. Imagine trying to end a 5-course dinner after the appetizer, right? It's incredibly awkward. You're trapped. A coffee date, however, has a natural endpoint. After about 30 minutes, you finally finished your drink. And that's if you're drinking slow, right? Because if you're drinking fast, you're probably going to kill that drink in probably the first 15 to 20 minutes, even with y'all talking, right? So you can easily say that this was really nice. Thanks for the meetup. I should get going and walk out, right? A walk has a similar built-in timer. This is a low commitment structure. It gives both people an easy, polite out if the vibe isn't right, which makes the entire experience feel safer and more relaxed. Give them a walk. If you're in Florida, give them a walk on the pier. Take them out to the boardwalk in downtown Tampa. And literally, you walk from one end of the boardwalk to the other end of the boardwalk and back to the car, which at a good pace should take about 30 to 45 minutes. And at any point in time, if somebody starts feeling like they might not make it to the end, you can always just go halfway. You can go to the overpass and come back, and that's like a 20-minute walk, right? He said not all exits will be graceful. So the reason why not all exits are going to be graceful is because somebody's going to say something that's going to insult somebody else. Somebody's going to do something that's going to insult somebody else, and typically people are bitter. So what happens is that when you're offended, you lash out. And when you lash out, you try to embarrass the person and hurt their feelings and destroy their reputation in society the way that they hurt your feelings internally. But if you're with this person, they say something kind of sideways, you kind of don't feel comfortable with the situation anymore, you might feel a little bit offended, you might feel a little bit of resentment, you don't have to finish the date, you don't have to finish the meal. If it was a cup of coffee, you can take your coffee with you and exit the situation. It was nice talking to you, or even if it wasn't, thank you for coming out could have been all you got to give. If she says something slick out the mouth, instead of you lashing out, I appreciate you coming out. I'm going to wish you have a rest of a good night. You know what I mean? And just walk off. She could be, what happened? What happened? It doesn't matter. I'm gone, right? With the coffee, the coffee date is only going to last till the cup is empty. And if you're still thirsty, you're going to get a refill, which means that I want to stay here. So a $5 cup of coffee turns into a $10 cup of coffee because I want to stay here, right? That's a huge difference. But when you have, which is one of the reasons why I told you, Stephen, when you go out on a date or when you go out for yourself and you prepay for the meal, right? When you sit at the table, if this shit ain't going well, I'm out. Even when you prepay, if you want to take your food to go, you got to wait for them to box the food up. That awkward moment where you can't leave because they haven't packaged up all your food. If you didn't pay for the check before things started, and the awkward moment where they came and brought you the check, you got to wait for the check. You got to wait. Remember, you said you were waiting like 25, 30 minutes for the person to bring you the check. If you were in a bad date, they can get up and walk off. You can. If you're in a bad date where you don't like the date, it's not your fault that the date's not going well. You're not happy with the date, but you're responsible for the bill. You can't leave. You got to wait 30 more minutes to leave because the date isn't going in your favor and you have to clear the check before you leave the room. When you paid for the entire engagement before y'all started interacting with one another, you can easily walk out of the room, which is why I told you guys, pay for the date before the date starts. Prepay for the date. You can even set the date up where you're going to put down a specific quantity of money. That's your half of the bill. and anything above that half, the other person is going to pay. So they know that they're pre-charging you for a specific quantity of money, and anything else is going to be a separate check for the other person. You're not ordering more than X, Y, and Z. And if you know what you're going to order when you go to a restaurant, you can pre-order the stuff for the date, let them know, hey, take my information down. I am personally only going to be responsible for blah, 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 blah. And maybe blah, 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 blah. Charge all of this stuff to my credit card. And if the other person wants more than that, they'll get it themselves. They've already got you locked in. He said, oh yeah, I tried to prepay a second time, and the waitress said, we don't like to do that because if you don't like the food, blah, blah, blah. I batted 0 out of 2 on the method. First one I did was wrong. Okay, no. So here's the thing. As I covered the show about that, I told you, if you're doing this for yourself, right? You go and talk to the hostess and say, hey, I'm going to spend a specific quantity of money. That's it. Let them know. That's the part that you missed. Talk to the manager about it, because see, the servers are used to a bad cook fucking up the food. Now I want my money back. Now that's all right, bro. I'm going to pay for what I'm sitting at this table for. That's all I'm paying for. These are the things that I want. I want to close out the check in the beginning. And if the waitress doesn't want to do it for you, that's okay. Let me talk to your supervisor. That's going to impact her tip, though, because I made the deal that I'm going to give you a specific quantity of money to cover my experience. I'm not going to go over that amount. And supposedly, the tip was going to be included in that amount. So if I was going to spend, like, you're going out there by yourself, if I was going to spend like $100, which is a lot of money for you to go out there by yourself, $25 of that's going to be the tip. Which is a lot of money for a fucking tip, which means I'm not going to spend more than $75. And I'm looking at like $25 a plate for some food. I might order 1 plate for here, 2 plates to go, $75, or 1 plate for here, 1 plate to go, $50, and like 3 drinks, which will make it $75, and I'm going to take that to go. Right? That's it. Now, your negotiation should not occur at the table when you're seated. The negotiation should be made at the hosted stand before you're seated, so that when you're seated, the server is told he's paying for his shit up front. She don't got a choice in that. He's paying for his shit up front. The hostess just told him that. The manager just told her that he's paying for his shit up front. Take everything down, this, that, and the third. So the goal, and that's why you do this by yourself. You got to practice this so that once you master it, it works out for you. Because there are going to be some ways, like you can go to a Waffle House and do this. You can go to a Denny's and do this. And some people are going to say, oh no, we typically don't take the money up front, blah, 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 blah. Fuck, Golden Corral will take my motherfucking money before I get to the goddamn buffet. You're taking my money from me before I sit down. That's it. This is how much I'm going to pay, right? And that's all I'm going to pay, right? Now, as I said before, the other spin on that, if you're going to get a specific quantity of food, you go into a restaurant. And this is one of the things that I tell you guys to do on a regular basis. First and foremost, do the research on your restaurant. Do the research on the restaurant that you're about to go to. They should have their menu online, the most recent one online. You should be able to decide what you want before you get to the restaurant. Okay? Now, when you get there, you should be able to tell the host that I am going to eat here, but I am going to put this much money down right now. That's not what we do. Well, let me talk to your manager. Manager's going to come in. Hey, I want to pay in advance for what I'm going to get. And that way, when I'm sitting down, there's no issues, right? Oh, yeah, that's not what we do. I understand that's not what you normally do, but that's how I want to do it. All I'm going to get is this, and this drink, I'm going to put down this much money and the rest is her tip. You're telling them strategically, I want 2 appetizers, an entree, a dessert, and 4 drinks. That's what I want. I don't even know who my server is, but this is exactly what I'm going to ask for, and I want to pay for it already. I want to pay for it right now. I'm going to give my credit card to the manager. Let the manager deal with this shit. Now all the server has to do is seat me, get my drinks, pick up my food from the kitchen. By the time the food gets to the table, the manager should have brought me my check to sign off on. It is doable. It is doable. Likewise, for example, if you're trying to go on a date with another person, you get to the restaurant early, you tell them, okay, this credit card is going to be for my event. Give it to the manager. I want you to hold on to this credit card, put everything on this card, and then when I come back for the card, whatever's on that card, that's what I'm going to get. Put an extra 20% off or extra 18% off for the server service. That's what I'm going to get, right? Even if you did that way. Some servers are going to say, oh, no, we normally don't keep people's credit card. The manager will keep your fucking credit card in the manager's office. The server is not going to keep your credit card in her pocket. She might give it to the wrong customer. But the manager will keep your credit card in the manager's office. Now, when you are ready to go, what did we say before to do? If you're there with company, excuse yourself to go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom. Wash your hands. Come out of the bathroom. Stop by the manager on your way out and say, hey, I'm ready to sign off on that thing. She's not paying attention to you, which also means do not get a seat near the bathroom. Get a seat on the opposite side of the restaurant away from the bathroom. So that it's a 2-part process on that. But go to the bathroom, do what you got to do, flag down the manager as you come out of the bathroom, get him to cash you out, hand you back your credit card. The transaction is done. Now that you've done it, I'm going to give you my email address. You can, if you want to keep my card on file, when I come back, we'll do it again. Now you've got a recurring customer. The manager is going to be pleased at that. Okay, bet this dude, he going to keep coming back because this is how he handles his business. The server doesn't have the authority to authorize that. The manager does. So where you made your second mistake was you tried to negotiate with the lowest person on the totem pole who has the least amount of authority. You have to negotiate it with the highest person on the totem pole with the most authority, which is the shift manager. That is how you do this. That's why I told you at the front door, you talk to the hostess, get the hostess to get the manager, because when financial transactions occur that involves your credit card, the person that's first responsible for it is a server, and the second person is the manager. So the manager overrules everybody else in the room. If the manager's like, fuck yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, because the manager's like, okay, I'm going to hold your card, blah, 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 blah. And then when you say, hey, and I'll be back next week, take down my information, I'll be back next week, and then y'all can just charge it to my card. Just like remember you said that back in the day when you used to bar hop a lot, that you had a bar tab and you used to pay it every week because the bartender got the approval from the manager so that they could keep you on file, and then whenever you come through on payday, you pay them. That same relationship comes from you talking to the person with the most authority in the restaurant at the time. And if you're going to become a regular there, you're going to negotiate with them like, hey, I just want to pay for everything right now. I don't even need the server to find me yet. I want to pay for everything right now. She can sit me. I'm still going to eat here, but I want to do everything right now. You can hold on to my card until dinner's done, but I want to pay for everything right now. I'll come and find you, or I can come and find you towards the end of the meal and sign off on it. Or if you can get it cashed out before y'all get me seated, I can sign off on the paperwork and y'all can just bring me what's on the bill. That is the most effective way, right? So there's 2 options to offer. If it's going to be an open-ended check, hold my card, and then when I come back and find you, I'm going to sign off on this card and take care of everything. Or I'm specifically getting a fixed amount of items for a fixed amount of money, and the difference is a tip for the server, and I want to pay for that right now. I don't want to wait until after I eat the food. Her excuse is going to be, oh, well, some people don't like the food. If the company does not have value in its employees, where the quality of the food is not guaranteed, I don't want to eat here. But if you're guaranteeing me that I'm going to get good food, you're guaranteeing me that I'm going to be satisfied. If you're guaranteeing me that I'm going to get good service, I should be able to pay for it in advance. And now that she knows that table 12 is already gave her $40 for this $200 meal, she better bring me the best fucking service. He said, I'm going to be a smooth criminal with a playbook in my pocket down to seating once I get this method down. Yeah, you're right. You are right. Because first and foremost, you know the restaurant, you're going to ask for a booth. You're going to ask for a booth away from the bathroom. 2-part process, right? So now they're going to put you somewhere away from the bathroom. You're talking to the hostess right now, because they're going to ask you, where do you want to sit? Do you want a booth? Do you want a table? Do you want to sit at the bar? Oh, I want a booth away from the bathroom, but I also want to pay for all of my food right now. I understand this isn't what y'all normally do, but if you can get the manager before you even seat me, I can give him my credit card, tell him what I'm trying to accomplish. The manager can take care of me while you're seating me, so that by the time my server gets to my table with my drinks, if what I'm asking for has already been accomplished. If that is your opening discussion with the hostess, hold on a second, sir, let me go get the manager. You haven't been sat yet. You can even tell her, hey, look, there's people behind me. You can seat them while I'm working on this, so that they don't feel like they have to make the lines stop to take care of your issue. Now they're like, fantastic. Let me get the manager. I'm going to go seat them. The manager will come and talk to you, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's getting seated in rotation. You talk to the boss. This is what I want, blah, 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 blah. Cool. Now the manager will seat you. But then the manager's going to go to the server and be like, hey, your boy already paid and he already tipped you. So when that server comes, you're going to get a better treatment in that situation. Now, if you're on a date, like I said, it's going to work twofold. Because if you're going to get just for you, you're going to tell them, hey, I'm only going to pay for X, Y, and Z. And then when I walk out, if this is a bad date, I already paid for my share. So I don't got to worry about Dine and Dash, because I paid for my share. I got a receipt before my date showed up. I got a receipt for the items that I wanted, right? Now, the other half is open-ended check. If you're going there, if they got your credit card on file, you gave them your email, your phone number, you gave them your credit card information so that they can hold your credit card on file, so that when you order stuff at their restaurant, that they have a guaranteed source of payment for your card. Bet. Now it's like, oh, just put everything on my card. Run a tab for me, put everything on my card. So that when I have to deal with my date, that I can touch base with you and we can work this out, so that I don't got to work this out at the table with my date. Done. If they've already taken money from you before, they've established a financial rapport with you, they're not going to be objective to you prepaying or you providing a guaranteed payment source, because it's just like when you go to the bar and you give the bartender your credit card, keep the tab open. As long as they got your credit card, even if you didn't pay and you walked out of the restaurant, as long as they got your credit card, they got a way to charge the bill. They're going to negotiate with you. So if you got to walk out because your girlfriend, your date is being ridiculous, I'm going to take her right now. I'm going to call y'all later, but let me get her out of here so that she doesn't mess up y'all's business. I'm going to call y'all later. They got your credit card, so you didn't run out on the check. See what I'm saying? And if they charge the card, you call them, hey, we're good. It is what it is. You know, the only flip up that you got with that is that you might get pissed off that you're charging you for more shit that you wanted to pay for because she ordered a bunch of shit and you didn't want to split the check. You just want to get this bitch out of here because she was being ridiculous. But you biting bullets when you're taking people to fucking expensive ass restaurants. But if you're planning it like this, it'll work out for you, because what they want is to get paid for what they give you. So if you're going to pay for it in advance, bro, it's worth it. It's so, because the stress of what happens after the date is gone now because you went through it before anybody showed up. And that's going to be another thing. If you say that we're going to meet at 7 o'clock, you're going to get to the restaurant at 6, work this out with the manager between 6 and 6:30, so that if your date shows 15 minutes early, you've been there for the last 45 minutes. They're going to see you. You've already paid for the check. You may have even gotten yourself a starter drink while they're showing up. So they walk up, they see you sipping on a mojito. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't keep you waiting. I just got here. I just got this while I was waiting, you know, or they offered me this while I was waiting to be seated, right? So because you went through the stress of the setup before the person shows up, you're showing organizational skills. Now, this is going to be where the theory meets reality. How do you actually do it without the other person thinking that you're a broke or lazy individual? The secret is all in the framing, okay? He said, yesterday was the first time I left 0 in tip in a long time. Went to a spot that did not refill my coffee or ask, and bad food. Stood there talking and continued to ignore me, never going back. Here's another way that you can handle the situation. Cash and card. So let's say you went to that restaurant, probably going to spend like $75. 10% tip will be $7.50. 20% tip will be $15. You bring what I told y'all yesterday or the day before yesterday when we were talking about this yesterday, that we really didn't need the $250 bill because the most that you really needed was $20. A 10, a 5, and 5 ones. Okay? That's all that should be in your pocket. It's $20. A 10, a 5, and 5 ones. Because you're out there at a spot, if it's a sports bar or some shit, you should not be spending $200 on yourself. You know? And $20 is 20% of $100. And if you're spending less than that, if you're spending $50 and 10% is $5, 20% is $10. So a 10, a 5, and 5 once. That's all you got in your pocket. Now, again, this method is still going to work because what you could have done, pre-ordered all of your food, exact change, no tip. Now, I'm going to put the tip on the table in cash when I leave. That's it. So the server's going to get her money from me when I leave. You can do that too. Now, she gives me shitty service. There's no tip, but I paid for all of my food. I got a receipt. Or you can guarantee improved customer service, because if she thought that you was broke and you weren't going to tip and then she's going to give you bad service, it is self-fulfilling prophecy behavior of servers that do this. Oh, he don't look like the kind of person that's going to tip good, so fuck him. I'm just going to bring him the shit and he can get the fuck out. He ain't going to leave no big tip because all he wants is a fucking cup of coffee and a couple of snacks. He ain't going to spend no pile of money, blah, 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 blah. But if you say that even with a cup of coffee and a bag of chips and I'm going to leave $5 on the table at the very least, if you gave her the tip in advance, this motherfucker gave me $5 for 2 cups of coffee. And pay for the 2 cups of coffee every time I see your cup half empty. Do you want some hot coffee? I'm gonna make you some fresh stuff in the back. Don't drink that creamer. That creamer been here forever. Let me get you the fresh creamer from the back. You're gonna get better service. You understand? When you do for them in advance, we just finished talking about this on the show today. When you do for them, they're going to feel indebted to you, which means that they're going to provide you with a better quality of service. Because it's a subconscious behavior pattern that this transactional situation, you have already advanced me compensation for what you would expect to be good service. Now I'm going to give you better than good service because everybody who is taught to work is taught to give 110%. So whatever I think good service is, I'm going to give you better than that because you just gave me probably the biggest tip I got today and I haven't even taken your fucking order. Right? You tipped me before I even sat you down. I'm going to give you a damn good experience today. But if you tip after the fact and you let their subconscious mind control their behavior patterns, they're not going to prioritize you. Even in the midst of chaos, they got a bad shift. They're understaffed, overworked. I got too many tables. Everybody's getting up at the same time. I got to bust my tables and seat people. And the kitchen is fucking up. They got somebody new. The food ain't coming out the way it's supposed to come out. This ain't my fault, but I'm going to get impacted by this. You might give them 0 tip because of the dynamic of the environment of that person. But if you gave them that tip before they sat you down, even if my day is shitty, you are going to be treated better than everybody else because I already know that you are going to look out for me because you looked out for me before I sat you down. So even if this is a bad experience, I'm going to get the best out of the worst part of the experience, and everybody else is going to get a lesser experience because I already paid you. Right? All of this stuff plays into it. Now, when we reframe not paying for the first date, you must never frame the date as a cost-saving measure. You must frame it as a better experience. And that's why I told you, hey, the whole dynamic wasn't about you saving money on the date. It was about you having a better experience during the date. If you go through the financial frustrations before the date starts, if you go through the financial frustrations before the dinner starts, you don't have to go through the financial frustrations after the dinner is over. Even if you're eating by yourself, if you went through the bill problem before you sat down, one or two things is going to happen. They're going to take good care of you before you sit down, or you're going to leave the restaurant and not experience the bad service. If they're going to be conflictual about taking your money out of your pocket before you touch the seat on the table, then they're going to be conflictual about the whole fucking experience. Right? You go to a 5-star restaurant and say, hey, I want to put $1,000 down on today's tab before and leave a $200 tip for the server before. You know, that server is the manager going to pass by that server and say, hey, table 6 left you a $200 table. Or table 6 left you a $200 tip. When did table 6 get there? They just sat down, but they handed you a $200 tip. Hold on, let me go over there and go earn my $200. You know what I'm saying? So if you hostess, go get the boss. Boss, I want to tip the server before we get started. I want to buy all my food right now. Bring me my receipt, and then I'll wait for y'all to seat me. But give me a booth away from the bathroom. That's it. That's it. I can tell you, matter of fact, I already know what I want. I don't know what my date wants, but I know what I want, and I know that this is how much I'm willing to pay for tonight. I'm going to give you, 100, 200, whatever. And then the server can keep the change. That's it. Now you can sit down. You can have a good dinner. If y'all spend less than $200, you're not counting the money, but if you spend less than $200, you're done. Right? Y'all can just get up and walk out. Your date is going to be freaking out. What are you doing? You're not going to pay? It's already taken care of. Come on, let's go. Most women have not experienced that in middle and lower class environments. Most women have not experienced that. For the bill to be prepaid before she got there, most women don't experience that. And in the mindsets of wealthy individuals, if you were to cover the cost of the dinner, even if you were invited on a dinner, if you were to cover the cost on the dinner without them being aware of it, where it is time to go and the check is already covered, they're going to be impressed because you went in there with the mindset that you are not a charity case, that you are an equal playing field. You got them this time, they will get you next time. It's not even a discussion. It just happens, right? The goal is to make them feel you are choosing this option because it is more fun and more relaxed, not because you're trying to save $20. If you're covering the date, they don't know how much the date costs. You notice when you go out on a date and they bring the check to the table, you look at the bill, and while you're getting your wallet out, she's looking at the bill too. Now she has to decide exactly what she's going to do for you after the fact because she's looking at the bill. The bill never comes to the table. You can have the manager email you a receipt. That way you don't have a paper copy in your pocket. She will never know how much that dinner costs. Don't worry about it. I took care of it. If she is going to show you value, it ain't because of the dollar signs on the receipt, because she never saw the receipt. So first, let's cover what to avoid here. These phrases are attraction killers. So you don't want to say, I'm broke right now, so can we do something cheap? That's not going to work for you. Don't say, I don't like to waste money on the first date. That's a buzzkill too. Don't say, I've been used far too many meals. That's showing trauma. Don't say, let's just do something free. All right? Don't do that. All of these come from a place of negativity and resentment to some magnitude. It's a complaint, not an invitation. Instead, you want to use positive, confident language that shows that you've put thought into this situation. Good framing sounds a little like this. I find first dates are so much more fun when there's less pressure. How would you feel about going for a walk, going to the museum, going to the park? Let me push you on a swing. Let's go watch the sunset on the beach. The most expensive part of going to watch the sunset on the beach is the gas that it takes for us to get to the beach. Even if going to the beach is a free date, but the price of the free date might cost $30 for gas and $5 or $10 because we're going to buy something to drink, whether it's sodas or beers or whatever the case may be. And we're going to sit on a drink and throw back a few drinks and watch the sunset. We might have thought it was going to start off by being a free dinner, a free date, and go out there to the beach, and then we decided that we got hungry. We decided to go get something to eat. So it went from being a free date to like a $20 date. But you're offering something that it initially didn't have a dollar sign to it. Try something like, for a first meeting, I'd much rather do something where we can actually walk and talk. So instead of shouting across a loud restaurant, I think it's easier to see if there's real chemistry when we do something simple. Because a lot of women want to go to this fancy restaurant, and if you go to the fancy restaurant during peak time, everybody's conversating with everybody, and that makes it hard for you to hear your partner. You got to lean in on the table, or y'all got to sit next to one another, and y'all got to lean into one another to talk to one another. If you're doing something where it's just the two of y'all, or even if you're in a public place but there's less people where y'all can hear each other communicate, you don't have to elevate your voice to be heard, right? Try another one. I've got a great idea for a first date that's a little different. And then come up with one of the ones, like I said, let's cook for each other for our first date or something like that. If you see the difference in these type of dialogues, this language is confident. It establishes you as a leader with a philosophy, right? Now, here's a simple framework that I call the value first invitation. First step is you want to lead with the tone. State your general preferences. For example, when I first meet someone, I like to keep things relaxed and low key. That sounds good, right? Step 2, explain the why. Frame it as a better experience. For example, I just think it's better when we can actually talk and get a real sense of each other without all the pressure of a formal dinner, right? Step 3, offer a specific, thoughtful plan that you've already figured out. Don't be vague with like, want to hang out? That's lazy. Because, a lot of these young bucks these days, man, I just thought you were so fine. I was just hoping that we could chill. Maybe we could just hook up. We could link up, man, we could just, go hang out somewhere. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll get you some of you, something like that. You know what I mean? What do you think? What do you want to do? You know what I mean? They have no fucking plan. The whole idea was I saw you from over there. I wanted to hit it. And the only way that I could is if I came over here and got your contact information. That's the vibe that you're giving when you give that long drawn out, can I get your number kind of thing. No, I just want to get you, let me get your number. No, give a thoughtful situation. Like, for example, there's this amazing scenic trail by the waterfront that's beautiful this time of year, closer to the sunset. How about we grab a cup of coffee, go for a walk there Saturday afternoon, right? It'll be cooler out. You know what I'm saying? That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. You know the trail. You've been out there. You should have, because I've told you guys before on the show that you're not planning dates specifically because she's going with you. You're planning a date because that's the shit that you would have done even if she wasn't going with you. If she say no, you're still going, right? If you invite her and then she stands you up, you're still going, right? You don't make reservations for a location that you're only going to because she's coming with you. You make reservations for a location that you're going to go to because that's where you want to go. And if she comes, That's good too. There's a difference between intentional planning and planning out of convenience. Intentional planning is, this is what the fuck I'm gonna do. So you want to join me? You can. You don't want to join me? You don't have to join me. You know what I mean? But if I'm only going because you're going, now the whole event is ruined because she said no. The whole event is ruined because she's got to reschedule. The whole event is ruined because she's running late. I don't give a fuck if you're running late. I was going to pick you up, but since you're running late, meet me there. Right? That's what you got to do. Step 4. This is optional. You can add a touch of personalization to it. Connect the idea to something that they've mentioned in the past. For example, I remember you say that you love art, and the City Gallery has a free admission on Thursdays. Would you be up for checking out the new exhibits with me? Plain and simple. This script is confident, it's specific, and it frames the date as a creative adventure. You are not being cheap. You are being a fantastic, intentional date planner. Now, you've got the script, and now you need some ideas. But before we get to these ideas, I want you to understand that just like what Steven's doing, go out by yourself, with yourself, for yourself, right? Enjoy life out by yourself, with yourself, for yourself, because you will find such great places that you would otherwise go by your damn self. Now, one of the good examples is, hey, I was at such and such restaurant last week and they have fantastic pasta. I think you would love it. You should join me. Notice, you should join me is different from can I take you there? You should join me is like, bitch, I'm going whether you go or not because the food is good. But can I take you is less confident, more submissive, and asking for consent. I don't give a damn if you go or not. I'm going. Do you want to go? So, a great low-cost first date is public, low pressure, has a flexible duration of time, and sparks conversation. First category we're going to discuss is going to be the outdoors and active dates. The scenic walk or easy hikes, not big ass fucking mountain trails, not mountain climbing kind of shit, easy hikes, okay? This is going to be the gold standard. Walking side by side feels more collaborative than an interview. When you're face to face, it feels like an interview. When you're side by side, y'all can face where y'all are walking. Y'all can glance back at one another from time to time, right? That feels a little bit more collaborative. And the changing scenery provides endless conversation starters, because if y'all are not really questioning each other the way that, you know, you feel comfortable with, whatever, you can literally change the topic to what's in the area. Look at that dog. Look at this squirrel. Oh, isn't that cat in the baby stroller cute? Stuff to that effect. Side topics, right? You don't have to get into the deep stuff right away. Y'all can just sightsee, right? Watch the sunset at a scenic overlook. Sunsets at scenic overlooks are good places to go. Sunrise, if y'all can do an early morning date, morning coffee, morning jog, something like that. But usually people meet up in the evening times for their first dates. So a sunset is very good. Pure romance on a budget, right? Now, this is going to be a shared, beautiful experience that feels special and intentional with a natural start and end time, because it starts before the sun goes down and it ends when you can no longer see the sun. So it doesn't have to be dark outside. Y'all don't have to stay there until the stars come out. You can make a second or third date stargazing, but there is a beginning and end to this, right? Stargazing typically is like a third or fourth date kind of situation, because stargazing leads to y'all making out outside the car, romping around inside of the car, stuff to that effect. So strictly platonic situation, sunset. So late evening, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and then hanging out, talking, sipping on something, chilling until the sun goes down, depending on where you're at, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. Then that's it. That's it. Y'all done, right? He said a cat in a baby stroller is not cute. That is something that belongs in a horror movie. But you gotta understand, Steven, they got cat strollers, they got dog strollers, they got everything. They got children on leashes with harnesses attached to them. It is a strange dynamic, and it is a cultural thing that non-minorities do. And I haven't figured it out yet why they do this, but I have seen people take their house pets and put them in baby strollers and walk with them through the city. Now, I have no complaint about taking your house pet outside with you, but what benefit does the house pet get if it is in the damn stroller? It is not getting any exercise. If it's in a stroller that's covered up with the cage zip closed, it's not getting any sun. It is just with you so that you can psychopathically hold whole humanoid conversations with a pet in public. That's that's what it is. But they got that. So if you like, man, look at this lady walking her cat in the baby stroller. Don't babies go in baby strollers? She got the kitty cat in the baby stroller. That I've never understood. That's a good conversation to have, right? You can even reference a horror movie that's had a cat in a baby stroller. It's something. And look, hey, Steven, you like to rib on people, right? Now, remember I told you it is better not to rib on your partner, rib on society. If you are people watching, as y'all are walking through the streets, you and your girl, you can crack jokes on the passersby. You're ribbing on the lady with the cat in the baby stroller, ribbing on the lady with the children on a harness being walked like dogs. You know, you can take shots, and y'all are getting laughs. Oh, he's so funny, but you never said anything to insult her. It's a fantastic way to go, right? He's if I say a house pet in a baby stroller, I'm gripping up and exiting the scene while slowly walking backwards. You're like, backstep. It's like the Macarena. It's like backstep. Not gonna lie, man. I've seen some wild stuff, bro. And I be going places with my dog. And the one thing I find it funny is my dog doesn't have a leash that you can see on my dog. Like, the only thing that controls this animal is my voice and a remote, a wireless remote, right? So I'm walking past a woman with the 2 kids on a harness, zip tied to the parent. I'm walking past a woman with the cat in the baby stroller. I'm walking past a woman with the dog in the baby stroller. And my dog is free roaming, orbiting my person within a 5-foot radius. And boy, I can tell you it's a conversation starter, because my dog doesn't acknowledge other animals. My dog doesn't acknowledge other people. And at the end of the day, they just like, oh, you got that dog trained. I'm like, well, yes. I train my dog like I train my children. Shock collars. Little Jimmy, I told you, stop resisting. Okay, so another idea that's a good date. Hold on. It says, seeing all that, will make you consider moving back to the projects. Fuck that shit. I will never go back to the projects. Let me tell you something. Because when you are in a suburban neighborhood, that's when you're going to see that reckless ass behavior. You see children on leashes, you see pets and strollers. That's in a safe neighborhood. The police ain't orbiting the neighborhood. You don't got helicopters flying overhead. You don't got low riders with switches and loud bass and no exhaust and all this other stuff going on. You don't have a group of grown men hanging out next to a beat up car, dressing like they're about to rob you kind of situation where you feel nervous because you brought more than $20 with you today. You know what I mean? I don't want to be in the projects. I would prefer the strange behind cat, the strange behind dog, and the psychologically and emotionally abused children that are being treated like pets on a leash over what could be if I was in the hood. I'm gonna be real with you. But if you're gonna take a walk in a public park, you're less likely going to find a public park in a low-income neighborhood. You're going to find a public park across the tracks. The closest to a low-income neighborhood is going to be in the lower middle-class area, away from all of that. Which is, if you in the low-income neighborhood, it's going to be like a 25, 30-minute drive to get to that park. That's going to be the park that's got no trash in it. That's going to be the park that doesn't have street fights in it. That's going to be the park that doesn't have the YNs out there with the Glock switches and all that other stuff. You're going to have it's a park that's clean. It's a park that's probably remotely empty, which is a good place for you to go. Now, another good date, like I was saying, is going to be strolling through a botanical garden or a university campus. You're a college student. So if you're not with a college student when you're going on a date, giving her an evening walk through your campus can be romantic to a degree. You don't have to take her to your class, but you can take her to the common areas. You can take her to, if you're in Florida, you go to the Marshall Center. You can take her to the Marshall Center at the University of South Florida. You can go to the food courts. You can take her to some of the on-campus activities, which are all free, because the student tuition pays for it. And they don't usually ID students in order to participate in those events. But even if they did, they ID'd you because you're a college student, you go to that college, right? That's actually a big plus, because if she's not a college student and you are a college student, then she knows that you are improving your life without you even having to explain the situation. All you got to do is just tell her what you're in college for, what degree you're trying to get, and what you're trying to do with that degree. It's a conversation starter, right? But there's a lot of stuff near the college. Usually, most colleges in most states, in most cities, have a lot more activity near the college than away from the college. So botanical gardens walk through a community college or a university college campus, or parking near that area and then wandering to the nearby activities that are near the university, right? Because usually small towns are built next to a university, right? All the entertainment scenes and everything to that effect. You can walk the strip without actually having to go into any of the venues, because some downtown nightlife looks amazing from the outside without having to go in and experience the chaos of being inside. These feel a bit more structured than a park and offer more specific things to talk about, from interesting plants to cool architecture, but it is something to do. Now, the second category is going to be cultural and curiosity dates. Again, I tell you, free museum or art gallery dates, which you're going to know about if you're going to these free museums and art galleries, right? This immediately gives you something to talk about other than yourselves, because y'all can only talk about each other for so long before you start feeling pressured and interrogated. You can share opinions and then learn about each other's tastes organically. The same way we just finished discussing the pets, and we found out that you really dislike pets and strollers. I'm indifferent by it. I think it's a waste of equipment And if that raggedy ass animal ain't got their damn feet on the damn ground, their ass should stay at the damn house. And I treat the children the same way. If your raggedy ass ain't gonna put your 2 feet on the damn, I ain't carrying shit. If you put your 2 feet on the damn ground and walking, you ain't going with me. You gonna stay here until you can walk for yourself. Daddy will never take me nowhere. Not till you 5 or 6 years old. When you can walk by your damn self, then we'll go. Shit. Yeah, I want to have the kind of children talk about something. That's okay. I can do it. I can do it. Now, another thing is going to be exploring local markets, just like I told y'all at the beginning of the show. A farmer's market, a flea market, going to be vibrant, active environments. You can people watch. You're good at that. Comment on interesting items and have a shared adventure without actually having to buy things. You can window shop, not actually buy stuff. Attend a free local event. Check out free concerts in the park, open mic nights, local festivals. And we're in June right now. There should be all kinds of free activities coming up in June and July. There's going to be the summer festivals coming up in August, September, and October. Strawberry festivals, carnivals, all this other shit going on. So get involved in those. Even if the event itself is terrible. Bad structure, poor setup, equipment looks terrible. The locals are like hillbilly style. Doesn't matter. It still gives you something to laugh about together, right? As long as there ain't nobody she related to or she'll take offense to it. Category number 3, the casual and cozy dates. So that always explicitly discussed classic coffee date. It's going to be a classic for a reason. Alleviate it by suggesting that you grab a cup of coffee, but then you elevate it to a walk through a cool neighborhood. So you can start with something simple like, let's get some coffee. Then after you get the coffee, let's go for a walk. You're adding to the date as you go along. It's a cheap, short, and incredibly low pressure scenario. Y'all can keep the walk within a certain radius of your vehicle if you guys drove a certain distance. That way it's not that far to walk back to the car. So if y'all met at the coffee shop, your car and her car is in the coffee shop parking lot. Y'all go for a walk after that, down the street, wherever y'all go to, right? Walk around a couple blocks and come back to the car, right? Bookstore browsing. This is going to be another one. This is like more on the magnitude of if you and or your date might be more of an intellectual type. Meeting at a large bookstore like Books A Million. You can wander the aisles, show each other your favorite books, laugh at ridiculous covers, take them over to the hentai section. It's a great way to get a sense of somebody's personality by the books that they select. Somebody who picks up comic books, somebody who picks up manga, you know what kind of person they are, versus somebody who picks up a textbook, versus somebody who picks up a dictionary, versus somebody who picks up some historical biography of some sort, right? Category number 4, playful and competitive dates. I strongly recommend that when you get any kind of competitive date, that there is always an opportunity where you two are on the same team. Because while it is fun for the two of you to compete against each other, you do not want a relationship where it is always me versus you. You want a relationship where it's us against the world. So if you can do teams, it's us against the world. If you can do individuals, you want to do Mr. and Mrs. Smith, do some laser tag, where I'm going to keep you from getting got and you're going to keep me from getting got. And every now and again, we might shoot each other in the back. Right? But thrift store challenge. This is a fun and creative one. I mentioned this one a few weeks ago. If you go to a thrift store with a mission, find the most ridiculous outfit for the other person to wear under $10. So that means y'all gonna spend at most $20. You get to stimulate her mind for shopping, but y'all get to do something for each other, which actually is good for another reason, because you start your experiences with her by showing her that I'm gonna pick your stuff and you're gonna pick my stuff, and we're not gonna complain about this shit, right? So you're not gonna get to a scenario and, oh, you can't tell me what to dress. I've been telling you what to wear since our first date, right? That was a game, but I was serious. It guarantees laughter. It's going to show that you don't take yourself too serious, but you can still be a little serious. Mini golfing or arcade games with the current genre of individuals that does a lot of gaming. It's not always going to be free, but these are usually very inexpensive, and the activities takes the pressure off maintaining constant conversation and allows for playful teasing. So y'all can find y'all a game room, y'all can find y'all a local play center, and you know, put forth $10 or $20 to go there and have a few games. Now, just one important note that I want you guys to take with you. Always keep the first date in a safe public location, right? Avoid suggesting a date at your place or theirs, which creates pressure and safety concerns when you're outside of the recommendation of, you know, cooking dinner at the house kind of thing. Because that one is a very good first date. But if they don't feel comfortable with going to your house on the first date kind of thing, all of these other things are very good ideas where that date could be reserved for a third or fourth date scenario, right? But if you were to do like an afternoon, we're going to meet at like 10, 11 o'clock. We're going to go shopping, get some groceries. We're going to meet at your place or mine. And then we're going to do the cooking thing between like 12 and 2. And we're going to make it a dinner thing where I'm going to be out of your house or you're going to be out of my house before 6 or 7 kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's one of those situations where, you know, it can work for you guys. But all of these other dates, you want to do like low pressure, high safety scenarios in open public. Now, you suggested the date. Now comes another crucial date gathering phase, interpreting their responses. Their reaction is a massive tell. So let's start with the green flags. These are responses that should make you feel optimistic about how this is going to go. Enthusiasm, first response, a simple, that sounds like so much fun, is the best possible response. It shows that they are open-minded and excited to spend time with you regardless of the venue. Collaborative spirit could be a response like, a picnic sounds amazing. I can bring dessert. That is a fantastic sign. They see the date as a team effort instead of putting all the weight on your shoulders to organize the event. Focus on connections, such as a response like, I'd love to take a walk. It would be nice to actually be able to talk, right? This is going to signal that their priority is the same as yours, which is the genuine connection. Some flexibility. If they're easygoing about the logistics, Saturday works great for me. It shows that they are low drama and adaptable, right? Now, where there's good, there's always bad. For the red flags, these responses should give you serious pause. This person is telling you without actually saying to you very early on that you are not compatible with them, okay? Dismissiveness. That's going to be the first cue that this isn't going to work. Any response that scoffs at your idea is a major red flag. A comment like, I don't really do coffee dates, reveals they equate their self-worth with how much money is spent on them. Fuck that. The test. This is another way that you can find out what's going on with them. Sometimes they'll push back with a challenge like, oh, so you're one of those never pay guys, or I was hoping for a real dinner. They're testing you to see if you'll buckle and offer something more expensive. This signals a transactional mindset. Ghosting. We already know about this one, but if you suggest a thoughtful walk and they simply disappear, canceling consistently or rescheduling all the time, consider it a bullet dodged. They have filtered themselves out of your life. Entitlement. If they complain, like when bitches complain about going to Cheesecake Factory, or act as if they are entitled to an expensive outing, they are showing you exactly who they are. This is a character trait, right? Not a failure on your part. This is their character trait. When you see these red flags, you don't argue about it. You just recognize the incompatibility. You can then say, no problem. Sounds like we might be looking for different things, and I wish you the best, right? You successfully screened out a bad match, saving yourself time and money and future heartache. Because not only do men get financially invested in women, men get emotionally invested in women. Women invest time more than they invest emotion. And the only thing that a woman can claim that she has sacrificed in her life for the sake of a man is her best years, her youthful years, time and potential effort. That's it. And the only effort that they have is like emotional availability, right? Guys are putting their livelihoods down in exchange for a long-term companionship. So deviating from that from the beginning, you putting yourself in a better position where you're not being taken for a ride, specifically because you're offering a penny. So does this mean that you should never pay for a nice dinner? Absolutely not. This is what makes this a sophisticated philosophy, not a cheap trick. The never pay framework is a strategy for the first date. The first date is a screening and interview with a stranger to see if they have a spark with you process. Once you have established mutual interest, you have established value in the person, the dynamic is going to shift. You're no longer screening them, you're relationship building. And in this phase, spending money on shared experiences is a beautiful thing to do. So paying for the third date is fantastic. Y'all can have a walk the first time, a sunset the second time, a museum the third time, and then an expensive dinner. Y'all can have a hike in the neighborhood, a community flag football event, community service, gardening thing, and then the cooking at the house for the fourth date kind of situation. Y'all could have 2 free dates, 1 low-cost date, then an expensive date, right? When you start committing to this person before you start financially committing to this person, right? You start spending more money when the spending is no longer about proving your value as a man, but about sharing your life with the other person. Now, here are the signals it's time to transition. When mutual interest is clear, after about 2 or 3 simple connections, focused dates, you both know that you like each other. The pressure is off. Now it's time to say, I'd love to take you out to that Italian place that you mentioned, right? When you move from screening to building, the goal is no longer to test for compatibility. It is to build shared memories. So a concert or a nice dinner is a wonderful way to build deeper bonds. When it becomes an act of genuine generosity, you start spending because you genuinely want to treat this person and share a beautiful experience with them with no expectations of anything in return. So if you guys started with the walk, turned it into a coffee, stopped somewhere because y'all got hungry, it went from free to $10 for the two of y'all to $20 for the two of y'all. The date ultimately ended with like $30, and y'all did 3 activities over the course of 3 hours. But it was a progressive date where I decided to spend money because I continued to value your presence. I continued to value your involvement, right? And oddly, I might pay for the coffees. She might offer to pay for some of the meal, and then I might add on to that extra stuff, right? She might pay for the coffees, and then I might offer the snacks thereafter. Grab us some appetizers, right? When a special occasion warrants extra involvement, this is when you transition. Celebrating a birthday or a promotion is a perfect time for a more extravagant date. The gesture is about celebration, not qualification. But you do not want to charge it to the Underhills just because you got a promotion. You do not want to keep up with the Joneses just because it's somebody's birthday. But you can go from McDonald's and Wendy's to Olive Garden and TGI Fridays, right? At least once, right? Think of it like this. On the first date, your personality is the main course. Later, a beautiful dinner becomes a shared dessert that you both enjoy together. And this isn't about being stingy. It's about being smart. It's about timing. You can still get to that $300 dinner if that's the 4th date where you had 3 free days before that, right? But you're not starting with $100 a date from date 1. The 4th date, you're typically committed because you should have figured out that this is the person that I want to try to spend the rest of my life with by the 3rd date. So if the 4th date is a $300 dinner, it's like we're celebrating the transition into long-term commitment. That makes sense. So we started with the phrase that makes most of us uncomfortable: never pay on the first date. And we've taken it apart and rebuilt it into something that feels not just logical, but powerful, right? Is that Olive Garden might be cheaper than McDonald's these days. Well, yeah, because Olive Garden got that 2 for $25. So for $50, you can get 4 plates of food. McDonald's got the big arch is like $12 or $13 for the large value meal. You get 2 of them for $25, but it's just 2 sandwiches, 2 fries, and 2 drinks. If you wanted anything else, you paying like $35, $40 at McDonald's. 2 combo meals at McDonald's might cost you $50. You're right. But it's the atmosphere. See, Olive Garden is going to be the broke man's cheesecake factory. You're going to be, it's like going to Red Lobster without having to spend $3,000. Yeah, the Olive Garden might work us up to McDonald's. I don't think so. I think from Olive Garden, I'd probably work my way in the direction of like TGI Fridays, Ruby Tuesdays, or something to that effect. Because Olive Garden is so affordable, I would coffee at a McDonald's, coffee at a Wendy's, coffee at a Starbucks, coffee at a Chick-fil-A, or something like that. But when it comes down to a full-on meal, I don't think I would go to McDonald's just because of the high prices, like you're saying. When it comes down to a full, because when we start talking about a snack, right? Even if it's a $3 snack, and McDonald's, like they got like chicken nuggets for like $3 and stuff like that. Chick-fil-A's got like $3 for a sandwich or $3 for the chicken tender things or whatever the case may be, right? But when you're thinking about a snack, you're getting a snack on the go. You should be, if you're walking through a park, or if you're going to a overlook or something to that effect, you're going to walk the beach. That there's no McDonald's near there. The McDonald's is going to be closer to inner city. So you're going to find like a mom and pop shop, like a hot dog stand that you can swing by, and it might be $2.50 a dog, and you're going to get 2 chili dogs for $5, something like that, right? A snack on the go. But to say that we're going to go from parking our car somewhere and walk to the McDonald's, or meet each other at the McDonald's, and we're going to spend $30 at the McDonald's so that we can have 2 combo meals. I mean, this isn't CJ and Denise on San Andreas. We're not about to, you know what I'm saying? Nah, when you start saying, well, with the amount of money that it would cost to go to the local McDonald's, we might as well just get a reservation and go to the damn Olive Garden. It is what it is. Like, truth, when you think about it, I could go to Subway and get a foot long and split it with my partner for $7. All right, you get 2 bags of chips, 2 drinks, you're at like $15. But I can go to Subway and get a foot long, 2 6-inch subs for $7 or $8, right? And that's something that we can eat on the go, right? We can pass by Subway and grab something to eat on the go, right? So I agree with you. I think McDonald's is way overpriced. And I mean, if you swing by a Burger King and show them some veterans benefits, you can get you some pretty decent discounts. But yeah, when you start gauging, but that's another thing with your planning, though. That's another thing with your planning. As a man, since it's primarily on us to figure this shit out, instead of deciding what to do when you meet the girl, you should already have a plan of action in the vicinity of where you met the girl. That way, you would have went there anyway. From this spot, I would go down the street to such and such location. He said, I'm just saying, if the Olive Garden goes well, the next day could be McDonald's, because that is an expensive date out of 2. Yeah, okay, so price-wise, you're right, but the problem is that McDonald's is considered a low-scale date. So even though McDonald's costs more money than Olive Garden, and one of the reasons why Olive Garden is so affordable is because Olive Garden is competitive to the eating out market, where food is starting to become too expensive and less people are going out to upscale places because they eat on the go. And Olive Garden is not an eat on the go scenario. The culture is changing from sit down and eat to get it in the car to go and drive away. So Chili's makes a lot of money. Applebee's makes a lot of money off of their to go for everything that people would sit in a restaurant and eat. You notice that most restaurants are smaller now, 25 tables at the most, and the rest of it is to go stuff, right? So the majority of individuals don't really stay and eat, right? If they eat at the house, because a lot of people eat in the car while they drive, right? We don't prioritize the time it takes to enjoy our meals. So you are right. Price-wise, McDonald's will be a step up, but class-wise, culture-wise, McDonald's will be a higher price but a lower grade. Now, yeah, if I like a specific item from McDonald's, she likes a specific item from Chick-fil-A, yes, the next date could be like, instead of us going to Olive Garden, we could go get one item from her favorite restaurant, one item from my favorite restaurant. We could eat those things together. Like I told you guys, the treasure hunt for food. We can go get like a onion rings from Sonic, the Burger King fries, the McDonald's shakes, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. The Chick-fil-A nuggets, right? Pull it all together and then go to a park somewhere and eat it all. That's an adventure in and of itself. He said those golden arches must be earned. Woo, you ain't lying about that. Them golden arches are genuine gold. They're not made out of uranium or nothing like that. They're not gold-plated arches anymore. Them genuine gold bricks, which is expensive. He said Chick-fil-A is out of the question. Well, you got Chick-fil-A, and then you got Quiznos, and then Chipotle. Yeah, a lot of females that love Chipotle. So, I mean, I wouldn't get Chick-fil-A for myself. Most men don't really do Chick-fil-A. College students suffer with Chick-fil-A, and women like Chick-fil-A. So I mentioned Chick-fil-A because if you might want like a Wendy's or a Taco Bell or something like that, and then she might want some Chick-fil-A, and then you will get what she wants from her restaurant and what you want from your restaurant, and then y'all sit there and eat it together. And the method of the madness for that particular type of scenario is that you buy your stuff first and then buy her stuff last. That way, when y'all get to y'all's destination, her stuff is still hot. Right? And you can explain that to her. No, we're going to get yours second. That way yours is still hot when we get to where we're going. Boom. And that kind of covers the spread. It shows thoughtfulness. It shows that you're putting her first, because you're not getting yours first so that you can eat it in the car while y'all are driving. You're getting yours first because your shit's probably going to be cold by the time her shit come out. But you don't really care if your shit's cold because you want her shit to be hot. So you're showing value in her before like you even start buying stuff in the drive-thru kind of thing. Right? Now, this philosophy has nothing to do with being cheap and everything to do with being priceless. Okay. It's about having the confidence to know that your value isn't measured in dollars. It is measured in your character, your humor, and your ability to connect with another human being. And it also has a lot to do with your ability to plan things. Because one of the things that women want in a man is for a man to be a leader, and leaders plan things. One of the things that men want in a woman is that she's obedient, which means that she goes along with the fucking plan. You know, don't make me draft this goddamn diabolical scheme and then you're going to tell me, I don't like that plan. We need to go with another one. Get out. That's what it is. Get out. Right? This is going to be a strategic decision to stop building relationships on the shaky ground of financial transactions and instead build them on the solid bedrock of authentic chemistry and shared values. By using low pressure, creative first dates, you are not just saving money, you are deploying a highly effective filter. You're weeding out entitlement behavior, attracting secure people, and making dating infinitely more authentic, which is going to build a better reputation for you, because the people who do go out on a date with you, who talk about your dates on social media, are going to talk about how you have some of the more amazing places that they have never been on before, because most guys do the same shit. Expensive dinner to impress the girl. That's it, right? You may even recommend the walk, and then you may even recommend the type of outfit she should wear on the walk. It's going to be hot out there. So you want to bring you some sneakers, low-cut socks, some shorts. You can probably do some yoga pants, whatever, like a tennis blouse or some shit like that. You can pick the outfit for her if she has those things, right? And if you're doing that on first contact, like, hey, I'm going to go here. This is the kind of outfit that you could probably wear for this particular activity. You're picking her clothes for the event. Throughout the date, when you start picking her clothes for the event, she ain't going to start talking back to you about it now, because you've been picking her outfits since the first date, right? But if you pick her outfit before the first date, you ain't got to tell me what to wear. I know what to wear. Never mind. I'm sorry. And wrap that situation up. He said a park bench with a picnic basket is the way to go. Forget overpriced meals. On that note, I need to get a picnic basket to make my dates more official when I get my next college. Well, you can get a picnic basket, but and a picnic basket symbolism would be really cute. The girls would love that, because we don't usually do picnic baskets. A lot of people would just put all the stuff in Tupperware and then put it into a grocery bag and just bring that. Some of us have the tote bags from Walmart where we put everything into the tote bags and we just show up with those. So if you have a traditional style picnic basket, like the one from Yogi Bear, that would be like a very romantic gesture, like from the movies, to start pulling out pre-made food from the picnic basket. But that also means that you would have to create the pre-made food, prep the pre-made food, put it into the fridge, make sure that it's really chill, or freeze the shit if you're going to be putting it in a car, driving it somewhere in the hot sun, and it's going to thaw out until you get to the event. You want to, put the food at the appropriate temp, and then pre-portion everything and then put it into the picnic basket. And in that dynamic, I'm going to recommend, since you've never done that before with the picnic basket, that you layer the food with some type of plastic wrap or aluminum foil to cover the food, and then put the tablecloth on top of the food. This is going to work for you two ways. One, after you portion all the food in any of the Tupperware that you're going to put it in, if all of the Tupperware is covered by something, nothing gets on the tablecloth. Separates the food from the tablecloth. Two, you're going to be pulling stuff out of the picnic basket from the top down. So the one thing that should be at the very top of the picnic basket should be the thing that's going on the ground, so that you can put everything else on top of the tablecloth. Then three, pick a really nice tablecloth that you're probably not going to put on your tables after this. You can get one with pretty patterns on it, and they're really cheap. You can get a picnic basket and then get you like a tablecloth that's got like some flowers and different abstract patterns and designs. You don't have to get just a regular plain white sheet. You don't have to get like a regular checker thing. You can get something that's got like really interesting patterns. You can get you something that's got like Marvel and Capcom on it or something like that, something that shows what kind of person you are. You can find one probably that has like Ash catching all the Pokemon and stuff, and you can crack some jokes about catching them all. You know, whatever floats your boat. You know, but whatever you get, also make sure that it's an extra large. And the reason why you want to make sure that's an extra large, you want to have room for you to be able to sit on one side of the tablecloth, her to be able to sit on the other side of the tablecloth, and you be able to fit all of the food in between the two of you. Okay. So you don't want to just get a regular small one. You want to get like the extra large one so that you can just like, and just like kind of spread all that stuff out. So that's just one of those ideas that you want to take into consideration when you start doing that. Now, you guys got to remember, the goal of a first date is to discover, not to impress. I know the last 30 years, that's what we've been doing is impressing the other person to convince them to stay. That's not what we're doing in 2026. The most valuable thing that you can bring is your full, authentic self, right? And ladies, y'all got to figure out what y'all value is, because on the first date, you're not putting out, you're not bearing children, you're not washing nothing, you're not organizing nothing. You know, so y'all got to figure out what the fuck y'all doing to bring value to this date besides looking cute, right? Y'all got to do something, right? Because in 2026, if we starting to get creative the way we used to do in the 80s and 90s, y'all gonna have to do something more than just like fake eyelashes, fake hair, and 20-inch stilettos. Y'all gonna have to do something different, okay? Because real connection isn't something that you can buy. It's something that you build. One genuine conversation at a time can lead to a lifetime of happiness. Now, I'm going to want to hear from you guys. What is your philosophy on paying for the first date? Because I know y'all heard mine. And more importantly, what is the best, most memorable, low-cost date that you guys have ever been on? I want you guys to take your time to drop those stories and ideas into the comment section, because your ideas might be the one that helps someone else find an amazing connection, which will change their life forever. Now, if this changes the way you guys think about dating, I want you guys to do me a favor if you haven't done so already, and I want you guys to hit that like and subscribe button so that y'all will be able to get more of these insider tips on how to improve your personal decision-making skills, to improve your personal life, which improves your financial capabilities. Because with everything that we discussed today over the last 4 hours, you guys have found a way to do more with less and increase your value at the same time. Now, this is not the kind of stuff that you're going to get on the average show. I'm going to be honest with you. Most podcasts do not help you do this. So I want y'all to make sure that y'all swing through here. Steven said, just because it's not the 80s does not mean creativity and kid and play playing in the background should go away. I'm going to be real with you. The average middle-aged person is going to love the way we used to behave back in the 80s. So if you're in your mid-30s and you're trying to date somebody in their 30s, it'll be a blast from the past. If you're in your mid-30s, early 40s, and you're dating somebody in their 20s, it'll be a brand new experience for them. Either way, if you bring the way we used to do things from the 70s, 80s, and 90s into 2026, it is going to be a phenomenal change in comparison to the transactional dating that we have grown accustomed to over the past 20 years. Now, that's all I've got for you guys for tonight. I'm going to start by saying, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. Fellas, I give y'all this information to make y'all higher value men. Y'all have to find things in your life that are inside of your control that you don't like so you can proactively put forth the effort to change them. Then you navigate around the things in your life that are outside of your control. Ladies, while this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, you too can make yourselves higher value women. Prioritizing your 20 and 30-year plan, reverse engineering it to what you need to do today. Proactively performing on a daily basis the tasks that needs to be accomplished today to make your later greater. And then keeping your eyes and ears open for the right personality, characteristics, drive, ambition, dedication, integrity, and motivation. So that if this person is able to achieve his goals, you should be able to achieve your goals with him. You have to pay attention to his goals to see how his goals mesh well with your goals. Y'all don't have to have the exact same goals, but if y'all both have long-term satisfaction goals and not short-term gratification goals, y'all both can succeed in accomplishing those goals together, where two people can make it to $1 million faster than one. Okay? Now, with that being said, I want to... Oh, there. I'm like, what's going on there? With that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we're talking about this, that, and everything in between. And I will see you guys tomorrow night.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not Nancy.